Hello and welcome to the Con Couple. I'm Richard.
I've still experienced every human emotion that it's possible to experience the last time we recorded.
And your name is?
Caroline.
Thank you. And we go to a frankly horrifying number of cons every year.
Not last week. Last week was the first one we ditched, and that is setting a horrible precedent.
Yeah, we did not end up going to Lexicon last week. We contemplated it, but yeah, we ended up not going as a result of just everything that's going on right now.
Well, look, the house stuff actually does take a while because you have to be there for the inspection and various things, and you have to do loan approval, and it is also just the general existential dread of it, and you're also moving all this money around, so spending more money on a con you don't know is going to be good is a little bit harder to stomach.
Yeah.
That said, I've come to the realization, or I'm trying to come to the realization, that of the things that we might budget for in the future to help with house expenses, cutting out cons is probably about the last thing we should cut out after necessities.
Yeah.
Because it's just, they're important to us.
Exactly. Who needs food?
Yeah. Please donate to our Patreon account.
We don't have one.
We don't. If you want to give us free food, that's fine. Keep in mind, I can't eat any of it, though, so.
I will eat all of it.
Yeah.
So, where were we this week?
AnthrOhio.
AnthrOhio. So this one's in Columbus, which,
Yes.
since we mentioned, since we were talking about the financials on this one's a lot cheaper to go to because it doesn't require an overnight stay. We're driving back and forth, and frankly, we'd already bought the tickets.
Yes. As a reminder, if it's your first time listening to this podcast, this is a podcast we record in our cars on the drive home.
Yep.
This time we're doing it in two segments. We're doing one Friday night because it had day 0 on Thursday, and then today, and then on Sunday we'll do Saturday and Sunday.
Yeah. And the reason we're doing it this way is just, this one's only about an hour drive from our house.
And an hour-long podcast is just a normal podcast episode.
Yeah.
That's not good enough for our viewers.
I was going to say, not our 2 to 3 hour lunatic nonsense.
We just listened to a podcast recording that was 40 minutes. Amateurs.
Yeah, that's a sane, sensible amount of time. Okay. Oh.
That's probably why that is. It is also raining and has been all day, and we're about to go through a massive puddle. As a reminder, we are using hands-free lapel mics when we do this in keeping with the laws, and will turn this off and have turned it off in the past if it actually does get actively dangerous.
Yeah.
That was more just kind of fun, though.
Yeah. Like, it does mean I'm going to be a little cautious with the brakes for a little bit, but not in a dangerous way, just in a don't be an idiot kind of a way. Again, for the record, part of the UK driving school process is once you've passed your test, you're allowed to do a bonus course called Pass Plus, which I did.
Mostly because you failed the test 5 times.
That's not why I chose to do Pass Plus, but those two things are not relevant. Or not connected. But anyway, one of the things that Pass Plus has to have you do is drive in rough weather. So, I have experience of careful driving in rough weather. So in case anybody's worried. But again, if we think it's getting dangerous, we will stop the recording. We have done in the past, but mostly this is just kind of annoying to drive through. So as we were saying, this is only about an hour drive each way, so we'll split the episode into 2 pieces. They'll all be uploaded as one episode. We'll just we'll do a cut in the middle. It's fine. That's about the extent of our willingness to edit.
Yep.
So, AnthrOhio. This is our 3rd year doing this con?
3rd year going to this con. So we started going to it 2 years ago, and it was our gateway furry con 2 years ago.
Yep.
Which we kind of fell in love with furries and their fandom and how awesome the community is generally, despite not really being that interested in anthropomorphic animals. But I like plushies and animals generally.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, neither of us is, to a certain extent, neither of us is really a furry.
Mm-hmm.
I love the community. I respect them greatly.
And we do go to a lot of their cons.
Yeah.
I do adore them. But it's the same with pretty much everything. I'm not really an anime fan. I'm not a sci-fi fan. I don't really like pop culture generally, if I'm being honest. Just broadly, its appeal to me is just kind of meh. But I love cons.
Yep.
What?
I'm more of a pop culture fan than you
are.
I love sci-fi. I love various things. But yeah. So generally speaking, it is just we're here for the community and the people.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
Yeah. So this con actually has been going over a lot of growing pains generally in the last few years.
Yep.
So the first year we went, it was at the Crown Plaza. We found it on a sign poster that they had up there advertising it because we were at MarCon, RIP MarCon, the week before, which was a small sci-fi convention that is actively small. AnthrOhio was growing, and I wouldn't call it actively small by most standards anymore. And they were definitely outgrowing the venue that year.
Yeah, that year they got considerably more like day off purchases than they were expecting, and they were probably borderline dangerous that year in that venue. So one of the big pieces of feedback they got was you need a bigger venue, and they basically said, we know. So the next year, they moved venue. Initially, we thought they'd moved into the Greater Columbus Convention Center. They've actually moved to part of the hotels connected to it.
I think it's the Hyatt, technically.
Yes. And the Hyatt's an interesting one because the Hyatt is technically two different towers connect on either side of the road, connected by a sky bridge. One of those is like physically attached to the GCCC, and the other is across from the road from it, but again, sky bridge. So they were primarily in the 401 tower last year, but they had some stuff in the 402 tower, specifically their like sponsors area, which we didn't go in. This year, and
It's also worth knowing they moved. This is traditionally the time, if you listen to our episode about them last year, at that particular time period, they moved up closer to Easter, so about a month ahead of when they were, and that was just due to when they could get the venue, generally.
Yes.
We'll talk more about why they seem to prefer, I think, this particular venue a little bit as we get into the space.
Yep. But yeah, this year they do once again have access to some space in 402, but we haven't been in it yet as of Friday because they've only got it Saturday and Sunday. Which is interesting because I know there was a professional convention in that space at least Thursday, and I think part of today as well. So I'm unsure if it was a case of they couldn't afford it all the days, or if it was only available on Saturday and Sunday. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I feel like it's more that it just wasn't available because I know that they wanted to expand last year, and I think based on their numbers, they probably do have the money to continue to do that. And I do like this con a lot. I do still think they're struggling a little bit for panel programming generally, and I think if they can expand that section to have it the additional days, that'll help a lot with that.
I would agree.
Because one of the problems I think we're also seeing is because they only have it Saturday and Sunday are stacked with meet and greets in those rooms, which means that you're not having meet and greets across all the cons to make it a little bit more even.
Yep. So yeah, we are expecting to have a certain amount of dead space tomorrow between the first panel we actually really want to do, which is at 10 a.m., and the next thing we want to do, which isn't until like much later in the day.
And some of that's ordinary. Like, as we say always on this podcast, we don't expect stuff to be catered to us. Also, Richard is still getting over a cold.
This sucker will not shift.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm getting very slowly better, and it's just like, can you just hurry up? Like, I'm sick of having weird, gunk in my throat. It's annoying. But yeah. So generally speaking, I'm curious to see how different it feels tomorrow as opposed to today, because today they would definitely start to get pretty cramped towards the latter half of the day.
Especially for the more popular events. They also did something different where last year, we're just talking about layout now. So yeah, last year, the bottom floor was where most of the con ultimately was, and they had 2 panel rooms on one side, and then they had a big ballroom, half of which was the dealer's den, and half of which was main events.
Yes.
This year they expanded main events, or they expanded what was the main event / dealer's hall space to just be the dealer's hall, which is understandable. I get the dealer's hall is very popular and also probably makes them money, which they need to support the con.
Yeah. Meanwhile, what was panel rooms 1 and 2 is now a big room that's main events. And then, so throughout today, basically, they've only had, or yesterday, today, they've only really had 1 event space, plus some stuff that's been going on in some of the other rooms, like the video game room and the board game room and that kind of stuff. But in terms of panels, it's basically been that 1 main event space.
It's interesting because we've talked about when cons used to just be basically 1 panel room, and I do get what they're trying to do. I will say I don't think that particular room is very well laid out to be 1 event space, particularly with the speakers they have. It's just been very hard to hear for people in the back.
Yes, that's definitely been an issue because it ends up being a long-ish rectangular room, which means, yes, while it's nominally got the room space to sink a decent number of people, if you're in the back of that room, it's not a great experience, I don't think. Especially given that the screen they've got isn't the biggest. And the projector's literally sitting on some chairs in the front row.
I'm hoping if they get, because I know they're moving a bunch of stuff to the upper floors of the other building tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
I'm hoping that if they get that all 4 days next year, they'll be able to solve this and just make that 2 panel rooms again, and then just make main event space up there, and then they can keep their large dealers hall. So,
yes, I suspect that is what they want to do, and I'm hoping they're able to do it because, again, we'll report back in more detail once we've actually had the chance to go up there. They explicitly said, this space isn't ours yet. Please, nobody go up there until
it was very
Saturday,
clearly a
Sunday.
professional conference going on, and like obviously you don't want to disturb them. Although it was a behavioral development conference, I'm just going to say that and leave that there.
Yep. So yeah. So again, they've definitely still got logistical challenges with the new venue. I suspect tomorrow and Sunday will be a significant improvement on today and Thursday. But I'm not going to comment in great detail until we're far enough through the con to actually say that.
Yeah, and I know that there's always going to be some growing adjustments as you move to a new space, and I do think this is a space that is a good space for them to grow from, generally.
I would agree.
And it lets them keep what is their hospitality suite, which is, I think, very, very important for AnthrOhio to keep. They care a lot about keeping that.
They do, and the GCCC won't let them have it.
Yeah. So the GCC, if you don't remember, is the building across. I think you mentioned that, right?
Yeah.
And the hospitality suite is basically what it sounds like. It's very old school cons. Most cons used to have it. Most cons now don't, and that's not really a con choice as much as it is a venue choice, where they just won't let you feed outside people because that takes away quote-unquote money from them, even though no one is choosing to eat food in the con suite if they want to go out to eat. They're just not. The food in the con suite is not good enough to compete with that.
No. Again, we were in there today, and it was Pop-Tarts and Twinkies and cans of Coke. It's fine. It's really, really nice to have free food available if you just need a quick snack. But it's not really competing with the restaurants upstairs.
And I do really appreciate the Furry community is always very aware of the fact that there are people of all financial levels at their cons. People who are not making any income and just living on disability or with their parents' assistance, which is valid. Not everyone can work. To people who are making
enough
6 or 7 figures.
Enough to afford $7,000 fursuits. Yeah. And again, I don't know if they said the exact quote this time because we didn't go to the panel, but one of the quotes we've heard before in the so this is your first FurCon panel is remember to eat food. If you have spent so much of your money coming to this con that you literally can't afford to eat food, come talk to me and I'll take you to Kroger and buy you a peanut butter, buy you a jar of peanut butter, some jam, and some bread, and we will make you peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. Right. And that is a sincere offer. I'm 100% certain of that. They want to make sure everybody is healthy and happy and just having a great time.
And the con suite is really meant to do that for anyone who ultimately is spending all their money on this con, and I understand why that's so important to them. Because at some point, everyone's probably going to be strapped for cash financially, one reason or another, whether it's because life's random, a lot of it's luck, and sometimes you don't have it.
Yep.
So, or sometimes you also just buy a house. But, for the record, we can eat.
Yeah.
We're fine.
We are fine.
It's just, it is a financial adjustment, and we're trying to figure out how we want to adjust.
Yeah. We will be paying a little bit more each month, and we need to figure out all of that kind of details. Which again, it's a normal thing that happens over the course of a lifetime.
And when we first moved into the place we're currently renting, it was just my income, and it was a little bit tight then, and then our amount that we were earning increased, pretty much doubled, I think.
Close to.
Yep.
Between you getting a pay raise and me, going full time,
pretty close to doubled at this point.
Yeah, that's over the course of the last 5 years.
And for the record, it's not going to double again in the next 5 years unless weird stuff happens, but it will continue to increase likely.
Yeah. Unless our university suddenly comes into a hideously large amount of money.
Yeah, it'd be nice. If they did that, they would just spend it on stupid stuff, though.
Well, yeah. What else are you supposed to do with it? But yeah.
So is that the con space?
I think that's most of the con space. So that's the lower level. The atrium level of the 401 tower, that's where registration is. That's where their board game room is. That's where their video game room is. And that's where their hospitality suite and the headless lounge is. Yep. As always with headless lounges, we don't go in them. Neither of us are suitors. I don't know if it's good, bad, indifferent, but generally speaking, headless lounges are very, very useful for fursuiters. And at this point, most fur cons know how to set one up and run it properly.
Mm-hmm.
It's slap a whole bunch of big fans in there, and I've seen a lot of big fans around this convention. Slap them down and
Well,
throw
Lynn's
in.
was at this con. They're a pretty big fan of this podcast.
Oh, boo.
You're
boo,
welcome,
I say.
Lynn's.
Boo. Boo on you. Anyway. So, yeah. So, it is worth just kind of noting that. So that's another space we can review. We haven't really been into the dealer's hall yet, so we can't talk about that in any great detail, just because it's always heaving. But, yeah. Like, for the most part, I understand the logic of why they've laid things out the way they have this year. I suspect next year, if they can get the upstairs space in 402 for the entire convention, it will not surprise me if that what's currently main events goes back to being 2-panel rooms.
Yeah, which I think will help a little bit with having a bit more programming, because it does feel a bit lopsided right now. But again, I understand growing spaces. I understand you're probably doing the best you can, and you're also probably trying to. I know you also want your con to be this weekend and not a weekend in April for a variety of reasons, or because you're competing with other fur cons in April. So I get it. Like, you wanted to get this time back so you could establish it. You likely probably sacrificed what days you had it, but you can expand it next year.
That'd be great.
Yeah.
So,
I hope the ring on this isn't too bad for the.
It doesn't really get picked up that much. The mics are actually pretty good about that. So, the other thing we should talk about is parking.
Yep.
GCC parking is nonsense expensive. They haven't switched over to event parking yet, but even so, you're still looking at $20 for the amount of time we're going to be spending at this con per day. So, that's not something we particularly wanted to be dealing with. So we've been like looking around, and we had a particular lot I was planning to go to for this one. In particular, like, I dropped you off the one of the entrances, went to go park the car, and on my way to that parking lot, spotted a different one that was slightly closer that was $5 a day.
Yep.
So I parked it there the last 2 days. And I'm very grateful for the fact we parked close today, given all of the weather that's currently happening.
Yeah. It's definitely bring up Raleigh weather right now.
Yep. That's why there's a brolly in the con bag.
Yep. And yeah, I'm sad that our friend who gave us free parking is no longer there, but it's about the same distance. It's not covered, but it's fine.
It's fine. I'm not going to tell you specifically where it is because we want to keep using it for Origins.
Yeah, well, if you actually know us, we will tell you.
Yeah.
But, there's 20 people who listen to this podcast. Even if all of them parked there, it's not like it would be.
Yep. So yeah, anywho. Yeah, so at this point, are we about ready to go chronological?
Yep.
Cool, then we need to do the view segment.
Okay.
So, once again, to remind anybody who listens, we do have con ribbons. And, if you listen regularly, you will know that we now have super special extra con ribbons.
Yep.
Where if you say a secret code phrase to us, you get the super special extra con ribbon for proving that you listen to the podcast. Ooh,
for the record, we really don't want this to be a marketing thing. We just thought it'd be fun for people who actually listen.
Yep.
So the secret code phrase this week is, do you still want to make it "We Bought a House"?
I'm good with just "We Bought a House."
Okay, we bought a house. That's going to be our big news generally. And we're not trying to brag. It's just it's
emotionally a lot.
It's emotionally a lot, and it's also an extraordinarily smooth process in a way that's suspicious.
Yep. Yeah, we keep expecting more roadblocks to turn up.
Nope.
But it's been a very smooth and efficient process generally. We basically got the last confirmation today that the appraisal's done, which that was basically, if it was going to fall apart, there was one of 3 things that was going to do it, and the appraisal was the last of those 3.
Yep.
So,
I mean, we still have to wait for our new home buyers interest rate to come through the Ohio program thing, but I don't think they actually check. I think they just verify that the loan company is already verified that it's fine.
Yep.
So
I've completed the course.
Yep.
Because I had to complete a course. To prove that I'm sensible enough to own a home. Which I'm not, but I completed the course. I have a certificate and everything. But yeah. So what was next?
we have to go back to the chronological
Yes.
order thing.
So yeah. So chronological order. So I was at work on Thursday.
Are you okay? You lost your train of thought like 6 times.
I'm a little sleepy for reasons we'll explain.
Uh-huh.
So yeah. So I was at work on Thursday.
Yep.
Got off work at 5 as per.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
There wasn't really anything we wanted to do till MS3K, which was at like 9. So I got dressed. I wore like our kind of Poe and Raven costume yesterday.
Yep.
Because the theme this year is Rock Me Like a Furricane, so it's like rock and roll theme. So I'm doing like a lot of black. And I brought the email axolotl that your parents got me from the UK.
Yep.
Who still needs a name?
Yes, we've been courting people this weekend to give us names for the axolotl.
Yeah. So I think I'm trying to do black, like vibrant color, black vibrant color this weekend, which I think suits me.
Yeah, it's definitely your vibe. Should be a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm. So we got there, I would say, around a little bit after around 7-ish.
7.5, 7, somewhere in that ballpark. As we said, dropped you off at one of the convention center's entrances. Went to park the car.
Yep.
Came in, and then we tootled over to where we assumed registration was going to be in the same room as last year, and it was, which was nice. Because that made it pretty easy to find and get to. Went in, tiny bit of a queue, like 3 or 4 people in front of us. They immediately got like pointed to a person, and then we got pointed to a person. Like, very smooth process.
Yep.
And
I will say, as of today, I have not seen a very long line at registration, which I do think. I remember there being a line last year, not that much of one, but at least a little bit of one. So I think they've smoothed that process down a bit.
I think so.
They did have really cool like lights this year to indicate when like one of the tills was open. It was very fun. It was like green or red, and would flash green or red if they were helping somebody or not. It was just very cute.
Yeah, that was super helpful actually. Because again, it gave the person who was directing the queue information, and they could go, okay, this person is open, you can go, and nice and simple and straightforward. So usual FurCon stuff. They check your ID on the way in. This is an all-ages event, but I'm going to be honest, I've not seen many kids this year.
No, I've seen a couple. But I do find that AnthrOhio tends to skew a little bit older. Like, it's definitely not all kids, or it's not all teenagers or anything, but, like, it's not as many young children as some of the other, like, all-ages cons. But I still want all-ages FurCons to exist.
Oh,
like,
absolutely.
There's quite a few plus 18 and plus 21 FurCons right now, which is great, but I still want there to be family-friendly FurCons.
Yes, I would agree. It was more of a comment rather than a criticism or anything. But
it's not a criticism. I think you're right. I think we might see more just for Saturday or something like that.
Quite possibly. But yeah, so we also had QR codes that they sent us. So scan the QR codes. They pre-printed our badges because we ordered them in advance, and they went and got them. Nice and simple and straightforward. They chuckled at the name you put on my badge this time.
Yep, I put girl in a dress on my badge because I feel like that's just accurate.
Yep. And I am apparently authentic English pack mule.
You are an authentic English pack mule.
Mm-hmm.
It's like both a persona and also an accurate description of how you lug around all the stuff for the con.
Yep.
Because, you asked me before we leave if we should take the con bag, and I remember what I put on your badge, and I was like, yeah, we should take the con bag.
Oh, is that why?
Yeah.
So I was lugging it around all last night for no reason.
Yep.
Ugh.
We didn't even use anything in it.
Yep. Don't get married, kids. I jest. But anyway. So again, very smooth, very efficient process. Quite happy with that. Badges are cute. We also got given like a little leaflet thing talking about the con game, where you could like tap your badge or various RFID scanner things.
Yeah, which I was excited to do this year because we didn't do it last year, and I wanted to beat Sigma. So.
But the website
in the
claimed,
game, not just generally. Yeah. I don't think they're into that.
Let's not ask.
We're not asking that. If they listen to this, they're going to tell us, though. So, yay. As a reminder, we don't say people's names on this podcast unless we have their express permission or they're a panelist whose name you can easily find.
Yeah.
So we'll say Sigma's because we have their permission just generally.
Yep.
And Boozy and Alkali get their names said because everyone knows who they are.
Yep.
So most other people's names we will not say. Like,
yep.
We might say some personas because they're not people's actual names. Anyway.
So yeah, but
it's still not set up as of now. The con game though.
Yes.
It's a bit weird. We think they might want to wait till tomorrow, just because then they have access to both towers. So we weren't going to try to go up and scan ones before they can.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
Yes. So we'll report back on that. In the second half of this episode, once we know what's going on with it.
But we did see some of the scan stations from last year starting to get set up as we were leaving.
Yeah. But again, it was supposed to start today, but it doesn't seem to have.
Yeah.
So. But anyway, so the next thing, what was the next? Oh yeah, we also grabbed both a program and a mini program,
yep,
and I like that they have
program.
both.
Yep.
I like that they have both of these things. It's very handy. Like again, FurCons generally like to do as many accessible things as possible, and I'm grateful for that because your schedule has not been working on my dang phone.
Or mine. I think they used a new scheduling app because people tend to shift around the scheduling apps, and sometimes it just doesn't work. So having it there is nice. And they have both, one where it's just does it by the hour mark, and you can just look through, and it has the different rooms they're in, and it's organized in a very linear and nice fashion, which is particularly useful as it can be kind of confusing being scattered between two buildings, but I already feel like I understand it, even though I've only been in one of the buildings so far.
Yep. Yeah, I'm curious to see how moving between floors in the 402 tower is going to work, because I don't think there's many sets of stairs, but we'll figure that out as we go. So sorry. So, yeah. So, registration process, very simple, very easy.
Yep.
That was great. We then had some time to kill. And the time to kill was mostly our own fault for getting there as early as we did. Because, again, there were effectively 3 events going on that night. One of which was one of the guests of honor doing an event. One of which was MST3K.
Yep.
And the last thing was the 90s dance?
Yeah. And we really only wanted to go to MST3K, but we adore MST3K, so we of course had to show up just for that. Plus, if they have a day 0, particularly if it's in Columbus where we can just drive down, I do prefer to get my badge to day 0 on a con, just because the lines are a little bit less hectic.
Yep.
And I know they have some ADA stuff this year, but I always believe that the best ADA stuff is when I don't have to ask, and I didn't have to ask at registration.
Yep.
So, that's awesome.
So, yeah.
And I think registration also closed earlier than that. Let me double check.
I think they were open until 8.
They were open until 8, but we got there at 7:30, so there wasn't a lot later that we could have realistically gotten there. And the I'll see if I can find it.
Yeah, because the badge itself does not say. The badge only indicates times.
Well, you would
for
get the
Friday,
badge
Saturday.
at registration, so I'm not sure how useful it would be, to be fair.
Yeah, actually, I don't think registration is listed on the back of the badge. Yeah, it was either 8 or it might have been 10.
I thought you said it was closed.
No, we walked past what I thought was it that was closed, but it was actually the hospitality suite, because the hospitality suite wasn't open yesterday. So I thought that was registration closed, and then we walked one door further down and I realized, oh no, I just got mixed up. So Reg was still open at that point yesterday.
Yeah, it probably was just open then.
Yeah, I think it was open till 10.
Okay,
which that's fine. So yeah. So at that point, we wandered around for a bit, saw some people we know.
Yep. Saw Sigma, talked to them for a little bit.
Yep.
Wandered around the convention center, because that's just one of our fun daily activities to do. Yeah. And we know there's going to be a TGC tournament, which I think we saw the setup before a little bit today. And there's also a random, I think, Scholastic Book Fair type event.
Yep. Yeah, there's a few various things going on at the convention center this weekend. We're actually hoping to see some friends of ours tomorrow who are going to the Yu-Gi-Oh tournament that's on. So that'll be fun just from a, saying hi to friends standpoint. Just random coinky-dink.
Yep. So yeah, we chatted with Sigma a bit. We wandered around the convention center.
Yep.
And then we went back for MST3K.
Yep. So we caught the last few minutes of the panel,
which was, I think, the guest of honor. Furrycons typically have multiple guest of honors. One of the guest of honors is always the charity they're supporting.
Yep.
This time they're supporting WAGS. Is that the acronym?
Yep.
Which is the.
It was a backronym.
Basically, it's a charity that trains dogs to be service dogs for children.
Yes.
Which is a very important thing to actually have a charity for, because those things are expensive. Most people can't afford them, and having good dog training is great for that.
Yes.
So. And we did also stop by the charity auction station because we knew we wanted to drop stuff off tomorrow, and a bunch of people recognized us for other cons and said hi to us, which happened a lot. A lot. It's
yeah, it happened a bunch.
amazing to see. It just makes me feel so happy.
Yep. So we basically inquired about the process of donating stuff to the charity auction, and basically said, here's the place you'll need to go to do it.
Mm-hmm.
You should be able to do it tomorrow. And we said, cool, that works perfectly, thanks. Because we suspected we wouldn't be able to drop the stuff off on Thursday, so we didn't bring it in with us.
Yep.
I was just sitting in the car.
Yeah, so we did that, and then we knew where to drop it off, so we could just bring it in on Friday. And then we went into MS3 3K.
Yep.
The room was still kind of in a state of disarray at this point, a little bit. They definitely made it better by Friday, but there were definitely just kind of chairs randomly around the room at this point.
Well, I think part of the problem is they're trying to record quite a lot of the panels this year.
And they're trying to figure out how to do that, and the projector is not trying to figure out how to place a projector is always annoying for cons just generally, because most convention center spaces don't actually come with projectors. You have to bring in a projector, then you have to bring in the screen, and then you have to find a place to put the projector where the screen actually works, and it's actually quite hard to do, and I've seen a lot of cons struggle with it.
Yeah, a lot of it depends on the size of the room and whether or not you've got one of those screens where you can project from behind. Mm-hmm. So you can hide the projector behind it. Mm-hmm. So sorry. Yeah.
And it's not a criticism, but then I heard some people say they were loading stuff into the room, and I know they wanted to keep some spaces open for ADA access for wheelchairs and stuff like that, which is also very cool. I do kind of wish it was taped off, because it would be a little bit more clear where it was.
That would probably be a good idea.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, whether or not the convention center will let us do that, or the hotel will let us do that.
The hotel doesn't really have to do. Well,
generally speaking,
tape on the floor. Generally, they're pretty okay with that, as long as it's not
painter's tape. Painter's tape is designed to go down and come back up pretty easily.
So yeah, that would just be my recommendation. There is make sure you're putting those sections up so you can see where they are.
Yes.
So we got a seat next to the projector because you want to for MST 3K.
Yep. So no boozy for MST3K this year, just because based on what he said, he got stuck at work and couldn't get away until early Friday morning.
And by early we mean 2 a.m. Based on talking to him today.
Yep. So this was Alkali, Citrine.
I think it was Sigma, Alkali, and then Citrine got recruited last minute because Alkali randomly saw him in the hallway.
Yep.
Valid.
Yeah, Citrine didn't say Alkali, but that's a
It's a joke he would make.
It is a joke he would make.
And if you know, you know.
If you know, you know. So yeah, and Alkali's handler, I think is probably the best way to describe this person. This person today we don't have permission to say, so we ain't saying it. So yeah, so again, perfectly functional panel. And MST3K, if you've not seen Mystery Science Theater 3000, it's basically a case of some network or other realized that they had access to all of these old terrible movies that they had the legal right to show, but that nobody would ever want to watch. So some guy suggested, well, riffing on bad movies with friends is a lot of fun, so why don't we make a show, the entire premise of which is we're going to watch these terrible movies and riff on them, and it's themed around a space station or a spaceship or something along those lines. So 3 of the friends are robots, and the other is a guy who's being tormented by evil scientists. The premise is weird, but it's basically let's just riff on bad movies with friends. The TV show. And it was very popular for quite a while.
Yep.
A lot of early internet critics cite MST3K as a big influence on them as a kid.
Yeah. This is kind of done drunken charity rules, basically, where the audience makes fun of the movie, and the people on the panel basically drink and also sort of make fun of the movie, and you can make rules for the movie to get them to drink.
Yeah.
Sometimes with knowing the movie, sometimes with not. Typically you have to donate to charity to make a rule, and how much you donate depends on whether or not you know the movie or not. This one kind of fell off the rails quickly for a variety of reasons. They still made money for charity, and it was still fun. It's just the actual game part of it, I think, was only half working.
Yeah, it kind of fell apart for a couple of reasons. So the initial reason it fell apart is Alkali didn't check whether or not the projector was on when he started setting up the movie, so we all saw what it was right from the get-go. Yep. Which takes away the you put in rules before you know what the movie is aspect.
Yeah. It also didn't, I think, help that we personally just couldn't donate this time because, again, we are trying to be a little bit tighter with money just because we're moving a lot of it around this month generally. Yep. So we decided not to, and we also forgot to get cash. Those were kind of decided for us. And we also decided, since we're doing donations to the charity this year, that'll be our charity contribution instead of us donating money.
Yeah. And again, I suspect, based on what we've donated, which again we'll talk about when we get to the charity auction, I suspect that'll end up raising more money for the charity than you know our usual like cash budget for this con. Hopefully, fingers crossed. But yeah, so so we saw what the movie was.
Yep.
It was Mamma Mia.
Yep.
Which we all knew it was going to be something musical because the theme. Generally speaking, if you can, Alkali does like to pick something that's on theme. Alternatively, it's just I felt like watching this one.
Yep. So yeah, I was surprised. Like Sigma and I think we're talking about what we thought it would be a little bit in the hallway beforehand. We both had School of Rock on our list.
Yep.
But I do agree that School of Rock would be a good pick for this because School of Rock is already a funny movie, and it's kind of hard to make fun of a movie that's already kind of not taking itself that seriously in the first place. Like School of Rock is a perfectly fine, family-friendly Jack Black film.
Yeah.
It's nothing really. It's not a great movie, but it's not trying to be a great movie.
Yeah, I have a soft spot for it. I think it's cute. I think it works as a film.
Yep.
Do I think it's like an absolute masterpiece of high art? No, but it doesn't need to be. Mamma Mia, on the other hand, is at least a movie you can riff on.
Yeah, I was a little bit nervous about it generally because it actually, like, I haven't seen it in years, and I was a teenager when it came out, and I would have been the target demographic for it then. Generally, as a theater kid who likes musicals and also as a girl, just because the furry fandom does lean a little bit mass presentify, or tends to be more mass presentifying.
Presenting.
That thing, yes. I don't know why I keep adding "fine" to things today. Apparently, that vocal tick is one that's sticking around for a couple days. Yay. There is a little bit worry sometimes about like sexist jokes and things like that, and I was kind of a little bit worried about that. Like, I'm sure Alkali would have been great about reining that in because he always is.
Yep.
But like, I know that is a movie that I actually kind of like in a way, and I absolutely can make fun of it, but I want it to be made fun of with love, which Alkali is actually very, very good at doing, to be fair. But it's also like, I also don't think it's bad enough of a movie, honestly. And what we wound up watching, I liked a lot more.
Yes. So what basically happened was the movie started playing, and then we realized for some reason the audio was weird.
Yep.
Namely, we were getting music and background noise, but nobody could hear any of the dialogue, and that included the singing.
Yep.
So there was something weird going on with one of the audio channels.
Yeah, and they got like the music on eventually, but none of the dialogue, bizarrely.
Yep.
And these movies, of course, were all legally downloaded from legal places where like this would never be a problem.
Well, they said they watched it fairly recently and it was fine. Like, my guess is something weird was going on between the audio hookup between the laptop and the sound system.
But I think this wound up being a blessing in disguise.
I think so. Because it just was not cooperating properly. So what we ended up doing instead was pivoting to a different movie.
Yep.
This is kind of the reason the rules fell apart, was because we pitched rules for Mamma Mia, and then we ended up watching a completely different movie, so most of the rules didn't really apply.
Or make sense.
So we just ended up... They basically weren't really playing the game, they were just riffing, and we were all just riffing on the movie while they drank.
Two rules. I think one was weather change, and the other was accent change. Those were the two rules.
Yep.
They were fun. It still worked as a panel. They still got to think about what they normally would for donating to, and thankfully that movie is just so delightfully bizarre.
Yeah,
we say the name of what it was.
Yeah, we should explain what the movie was. So the movie was called The Apple.
Yep. I will use Alkali's description of this was a corporate attempt at Rocky Horror that didn't understand what Rocky Horror was trying to do.
Yep.
I don't want to explain it more than that. One, because I can't, and two, because like this, I legitimately agree with Alkali. This is just something that needs to be experienced. You go in blind, and I don't want to ruin it for anyone who wasn't there.
All I'm willing to spoil about this movie is I don't think a room of people has uttered the phrase, "What the expletive I try not to say in this podcast," more times than at this movie. Like the ending of this movie in particular, I figured out what was going on, and I still thought it was the most insane thing I've ever seen in a movie.
Yep. It doesn't make sense. It needs to be experienced. It's a perfect movie to watch with your friends and just
riff on.
Yep.
Seriously. If you can find a copy of The Apple, which
legally, obviously.
Legally, obviously. Yeah, which was, and again, it was a 70s movie, I think.
It was 1980, I think.
1980. Yeah,
Keep in mind, we were right next to the screen, so we could like see all the titles and things like that.
It's the costume design is incredible.
Yep.
The choreography is actually really good, but the dialogue, the acting, and most of the lyrics to the songs are just the most nonsense, bonkers. What the heck was anybody thinking? Stuff. It's great. And again, it's one of those movies where the director, writer, and producer were the same person, and that's never a good sign.
Nope. But it was just kind of delightful. Alkali clearly has a love-hate relationship with it. I do too after watching it. Like, you like this type of movie in terms of like its badness mixed with its goodness, and I love pure kitsch. Like, pure kitsch is just my dream generally, and this movie has so much of it.
Oh, I want to show this movie to the students.
Yep. Why?
Can you imagine the riffing we'd get out of it? I want to show it to our friends groups, but I also want the students to see it just because, Jesus. But yeah. Oh, so sorry. But yeah, so
plus you and Alkali got to bond, because I think you have incredibly similar taste in film.
Yes, apparently we do. You know, this was just the epitome of what the actual hell did we just watch?
Yep.
Yeah. So yeah. This was an absolute riot.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I had immense fun in this panel. I think, with hindsight, I'm glad there was the technical problems with Mamma Mia, because I think we just all had a better time watching this weird-ass movie.
And it was a musical.
Yep.
There's a lot of songs.
There are a lot of songs, and almost none of them actually fit what's going on.
Yeah, the lyrics don't make any sense most of the time. They're
well,
either way too on the nose, or they have nothing to do with the plot whatsoever.
Like, if you told me that what this was somebody's 9-hour concept album that they just took, that somebody cut a bunch of the songs out of and used them and, like, tried to make a plot around them, I would believe you. That would track completely.
I mean, the way I described the movie, and I still do make sense, and I did not make this joke there, although I made it to you, was... You just want to say it?
You commented that it felt a lot like Eurovision the movie.
Yep. I mean, specifically one country's participation in Eurovision the movie.
Which we're not going to name, because we don't want to deal with any fallout.
I don't want to deal... There's a reason why I did not yell that. Like, it just, no.
So yeah. Bonkers-ass movie.
Yep.
Phenomenal good time. So our plan, because again, this was a 9 o'clock start panel, so this was about 11 o'clock when it finished, because generally speaking for MST3K, Alkali picks movies that are in the hour and a half to hour 45 range.
Which is good, because it starts running out of speed. I don't have an attention span that long. I know he just does it so he doesn't have to get, like, overly drunk, but the reason I prefer that is it actually works, I think, better for this riffing, because you do kind of run out of steam towards longer movies.
Again, I think 2 hours is probably the absolute upper limit to the I don't think a movie longer than 2 hours should be done at an MST3K panel, because the audience is going to run out of steam at that point. So hour and a half, hour 45, that's about the sweet spot. So it was 11, 11:15, 11:20, somewhere in that ballpark, because it did get started a little bit late, with all the technical hiccups. And our original plan for the evening had been to do one dance at the 90s dance and then go home. And get some sleep. That's not what ended up happening.
Nope. The 90s dance was already looking kind of crowded. By the way, this con has, I think, about, like, depending on how you count it, anywhere between, like, 5 and 8 dances.
Furries love their dances.
They do, and this one was already popular.
And that's not counting the dance competition.
So, we planned to do that. We were kind of mingling in the room.
Yep.
So what do we do instead?
We went and talked to Alkali.
Yep.
And, and a few other people. It's like, Alkali is one of those people who, after he's, like, depleted his social battery doing that, he basically goes outside for a cigarette and a chat with people.
Yep. And keep in mind, I do want to point out that all the drugs he were doing, and I do mean this legitimately, are legal in this state. All of them.
Yeah, the alcohol, the weed, and the cigarettes are all completely legal. Do I think he should be doing all three of those things in rapid succession? Probably not, but, that it's his body, it's his life, it's his choice. Like, you know, that's pretty much my attitude to all of those things. So yeah, we hung around and talked to him and, you know, a few other people who, again, we're not going to name any of them. We don't have the permission to, etc.
But they were all really cool.
Yeah, that was really nice. Just chatting with a few people about stuff, about
until
life.
1 a.m.
Yeah,
1 a.m.
We didn't mean to stay that late, but we did.
Mm-hmm.
And again, like, as we pointed out before, one of the things we do love about conventions is meeting people and being able to just stop and chat with them for a while.
And furry conventions tend to be great for doing that generally.
So yeah, just stood out the back of the hotel talking.
Mm-hmm.
And neither of us imbibed of any substances. They offered.
Yep.
Like, if we wanted some, we would have been very welcome. But again, like, you can't and I choose not to as a result.
I mean, I offered to drive back if you wanted to, but I did. You've never had weed before.
I've never had weed before.
Mm-hmm.
Cigarettes are definitely a no-no for me. Yeah. And they only had beer, and I don't like beer.
Yep. Most of those things will kill me. I have been enjoying an occasional weed gummy since the house buying process has started when I eat food late at night, but it does kind of... It stays in my system the next day in a way that's not good. So, and again, I want to point out I'm an adult who bought those legally, so I'm fine with saying it on the podcast. We are in a state where that is legal. Mm-hmm. So,
yeah, there's literally a dispensary down the road from us.
Yep. We bought this legally from a dispensary that was legally a thing.
Yeah,
not in the back end.
We specifically got, you know, that when you were going through the high stress stuff at Christmas.
Yep.
Because we were looking for a way to reduce your stress levels. And pain.
It does do that. I still haven't gotten to the point where, like, the next day doesn't feel very weird for me. Mm-hmm. So, and it generally only works when I do it at night when I can eat. So.
Yeah, the thing I've found is that it does actually help you sleep.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. So, if you want a recommendation on that front. But yeah, so we just talked.
Yeah.
It was nice.
It was really nice. It's also just one of those things for which, like, Alkali is obviously very popular and has a lot of friends and people in the fandom. And, like, it is just kind of nice to be able to kind of talk effectively just kind of one-on-one with him and some of his, like, close friends. Mm-hmm. That's kind of nice.
And again, the thing I do actually really like about him as a person is he will just make the time to talk to people.
Yeah.
You know, like, if he's in that place where he's basically just stood outside having a cigarette, having a drink, having a whatever, that is a time when you want to come up and chat with him, you can come up and chat with him. And he's very happy to do that.
Yeah. And furthermore, he was always outside whenever we were getting into the car.
Which was kind of hilarious.
Yep.
You know, we would have done a stop and chat at that point, but there was nowhere to stop the car. But, so it was very much just a case of, you know, the best way to describe it is it feels like he's holding court when he does that.
Yep.
I don't know if you know what I mean by that.
I know what you mean. Like, I've heard the term before.
Yep.
Like, that's something I've heard generally.
Yep. Right, well, less than 20 minutes from home, so we should probably...
we're not even on Friday yet.
Yeah.
Okay.
So as a result of staying up chatting until 1 a.m., we didn't get home until like 2 a.m.
And I still had to eat, so I didn't go to sleep till like 3 a.m.
Yep. I also, again, like, joys of a convention, I usually have a bit of like an adrenaline high for a bit, and it takes me a little while to calm down. So I don't think I got to actual sleep till at least 2:30, 3 o'clock.
Yep. And then we woke up at 8.
Yep. I was up before that because I'm always up at like 6:30. My body won't let me sleep in, and it's annoying. And
I'm actually glad we got on the road when we did, because we talked about sleeping until 9, but I'm glad we got there when we did, because opening was crowded.
Yes. Yeah, we would not have got a seated opening if we hadn't got there when we did. Yep. So, got up at about 8-ish. Mm-hmm. Yep, got you dressed. Would you like to describe today's outfit?
Yeah, I'm wearing my pink, like, magenta kind of Barbie-coated outfit generally, and I did a rainbow wig, which I haven't
worn in a while.
My inspiration was, like, synth pop and Cyndi Lauper to, like, be kind of the more that side of, like, Rock Me Like a Hurricane theme.
Yeah, you did some really fun multicolored eyeshadow.
Yeah, I like this eyeshadow. Anyway, I have to take it off when we get home.
Mm-hmm. It looks really good.
It does. I got it's from a company called Astrobabe. They are these eyeshadow tattoos. They're not actual tattoos, but they effectively are just like kind of imprints of makeup, and you just put them on your eyes, and they just cover it. So if you want like full coverage makeup, like if you just want your actual eyelid and nothing above it, they're not very good. But if you are fine with just covering your entire eye up there, which is generally how I do it anyway, they're great. So they're a little bit expensive, but you can use them multiple times. So.
So that was definitely a winner today. You know, you look great. So yeah, so we got down here we left at 9, so we would have got here like what, 10:15.
Yep.
Again, dropped you off, parked up, walked along, and then we went in. And what was the first thing we did?
We went to opening.
Yeah, I was trying to think if we did anything upstairs before that.
I don't think so. I think we mostly just went down and went to opening.
Yeah.
We did check the charity thing because we bought in our charity items.
Yep.
They weren't open yet, so we went into opening, which was the end of the guest of honor talking generally.
Yep. So interestingly, at this con, they did meet the guest of honor.
Yep.
Meet the charity, then they did opening.
Yep.
Usually, those are the other way around at most cons, or opening ceremonies includes a meet the guest of honor, meet the meet the charity.
Mm-hmm.
I don't necessarily think either is a mistake. It was just a tiny bit unusual, and I'm curious to know if there was a particular reason why they did it that way around. But yeah, so we did snag a seat at the front. I did move a couple of chairs into position, and a guy came up and was like, "Hey, this is reserved for ADA seating," and I basically said, "You do have ADA requirements," and he basically said, "Okay."
Yeah, he actually apologized, which was very sweet. And he was just doing his job. I wasn't remotely offended by it.
Yeah.
And this is just one of those things where I do think putting signs up would make that a little bit more clear.
Yeah.
And also making sure that if you have chairs, having the option to, because you just brought chairs down from the pile that was on the side of the room at that point, which is fine. But like some people who have ADA might need to sit in a chair and also might need help getting chairs. So just having stuff like that available, I think would be good.
Yeah, I would agree. Again, just like some tape on the floor that basically says, ADA seating area.
Yep.
If you need any assistance, we will get you a chair. If you need it, if you have a wheelchair and you need a chair that's currently there, move the heck out of the way. We can do that.
And furry cons tend to be excellent with ADA generally, and like any improvements I have with furry cons are just make it a little bit better. A couple cons in the furry community are a little bit ahead of you on this. You can definitely catch up though.
Yeah. And again, you're not really doing anything wrong. We just think there's a couple of extra little things you could do to make stuff clearer. Is basically the best way to describe it. Like the second you mention it to somebody, they can't be more accommodating.
Yep.
It's just some additional. Some stuff to make it clearer so you don't have to ask the question in the first place is always appreciated.
Yep. So we got ADA seating, and it's very good that we did because that room was standing room only.
Yeah, that room got busy. And again, I think that was a consequence of the fact that they've got one panel room.
Yep.
And at that point, vendors hall wasn't open, hospitality wasn't open, video game room wasn't open. Basically, if you're at the con and you weren't just chilling and hanging out in the lobby, you were opening.
Yep.
Opening was pretty standard. They
announced the guest of honors, announced some of the panels, explained how stuff was working with the second building.
Yep.
They did announce, and I always like the furry cons do this, that they had specialty food and drinks at some of the restaurants.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they like to partner with local businesses and say, hey, so one particular business they shouted out, who I feel bad for forgetting, is a hot dog place that's nearby. They are doing a special menu item, and 2, for this weekend, they've agreed to donate 10% of all of their stuff to the charity for this con, that's really good of them. And yes, it probably will work out for them over the course of the weekend because the furries have now been told this is a place they can go get food that will also support the charity.
Yeah.
And furries like both food and supporting the charity.
Furries love food, and they also love supporting the charity. That's not hyperbolic.
Nope. No, it's kind of scary.
Yep.
It's very much a good partnership, I think. And they did mention that the hotel restaurants have a special menu item that's furry themed and stuff like that. They're very good at reaching out and making those connections in a way that a lot of other cons just kind of don't bother with. Which again, I think comes from that intimate personal community in a way that a lot of other cons don't really have. So yeah. So that was kind of opening. Was there much more to say about that?
And it didn't last too long, about 30 minutes generally.
Yep, which is about normal.
Yep.
So our plan at that point was to head upstairs, and we contemplated going to either the video game tournament or playing some Blood on the Clock Tower. Yep. What we ended up doing was sticking our heads into the hospitality suite, grabbing some snacks for me, and they did have specific signage up that basically said anything you get in the hospitality suite must be eaten in the hospitality suite. Basically, that's a requirement of the hotel, you know, in order to let them have it. Fine.
Yep.
You know,
option. It's something we try to be very respectful of because we want them to continue to have this generally. Like, you could take food out in a backpack if you wanted. I would prefer if you didn't do that, just so, you know, the con can continue to do it. And we obviously didn't do that.
Yeah,
so.
Yeah, everything I got there, I ate there.
Yeah.
And I will say, in past years, their hospitality suite, back when they were at the Crown Plaza, did have some hot food options.
Yep.
It was like hot dogs and like basic stuff like that. None of that this year, which again, I think is a limit of the venue.
Yeah.
You know, so it was basically like, you know, Pop-Tarts, and there were like Hostess products, and, you know, like,
they did have a lot of food. Like,
they
did.
Like,
the entire back shelf was just filled with food.
They had so much back there. Like, one person was like, I want to make sure I don't take more than my fair share. And the guy just looked at me and goes, dude, we'll be fine. We're stocked. Eat what you want.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like, if I went up there and grabbed one of everything, all they would have done is commend me on how much stuff I was managing to carry.
Yep.
I am 100% confident of that. You know, and they did have a reasonable amount of selection. Like, you know, they had 4 different flavors of Pop-Tarts. You know, that kind of vibe. So.
Yeah, tons of chips, tons of stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do think the venue means that they can't have hot food anymore, so that does mean no hot dogs.
Yes, which is a pity. Because, the first year we were at AnthrOhio, back when they were at the Crown Plaza, I definitely remember them doing, like, chili dogs and the like.
Yep.
Which is always fun.
And how this typically works is they do have, because I remember them talking about it 2 years ago, about how they have like 2 time slots most days when it's open, because they want to give the people who are running it a break, because it is a very intense job to kind of clean the space and also like kind of monitor everyone.
Yeah.
Like, it's not hard to monitor them. Everyone's very respectful as far as I can see. But again, furries are kind of animals in a literal sense when it comes to food. So.
Yeah. And again, like, stuff gets spilled, stuff gets knocked over. Like, it's going to happen, especially when you're around a bunch of fursuits. So, So, yeah, specifically, it was nominally open 12 till 2 and 4 till 8 today.
It is relatively small comparatively, which means generally does mean there's about like 6-ish tables in there, and you're most likely going to have to share.
Yep.
Everyone followed the rule of like asking before they sat down, and everyone was very encouraging about letting people just kind of sit there.
Yep. Everybody was very polite. It was very friendly. Like, it had a good atmosphere. So we basically then toddled over to the games room for some blood on the clock tower.
Yep.
The schedule listed it starting at 12. It actually started at 1. So we ended up with a little bit of time to kill. So our plan was to just go for a wander up and down the convention center again. But we ended up bumping into somebody who'd been talking to the previous night and just chatted with them for like, half an hour? Actually, it probably wasn't that long. It was probably only like 15, 20 minutes. But that was nice to do.
Yeah, this was the person we bumped into the previous night. We talked to them a bunch. We don't have permission to say their name on the podcast. I did ask for the contact details, though, because I would love to chat with them at another con. They seem like a really cool person. So.
Yep. Yeah, we've got them now on this, you know, on the all the furries use Telegram for whatever reason.
Yeah, I try to warn people our Telegram accounts are linked just so they can't send. I just don't want anyone sending stuff that they don't think I can see. Yeah. The reason we link them isn't anything like I don't trust you or whatever. It's mostly just we can't figure it out, so we kind of do it jointly, so that way, like, anything one of us can't figure out, the other one can.
Yep.
And also because I got banned from a server because it was unfair. For the record, the reason I got banned from one of the con servers wasn't anything like they posted did racist stuff or anything. It banned me because I had a username, but I didn't put my name in the correct box on the form, so it thought I was a bot because I didn't put my name in the correct box on the form because I didn't know that I had to do that. So it's just like, you're a bot, you're banned. And then it's like, that I can't appeal this in any way. I am a human being. I just didn't know that I had to put my name in this other section of it because it didn't prompt me to do that at any point.
Yep.
Thanks. And that's really why our Telegram accounts got linked.
Yep.
Supposedly because I wanted into that server because I felt like my reasons for being banned were kind of illegitimate.
So anyway. So long story short, we basically just share a Telegram account. Yep. So So, we added a few people over the course of this weekend.
Yep.
But so we then went to play Clock Tower because we needed something to, cover that kind of 2-hour period. So,
well, first we dropped off the stuff at the charity.
Yep. Which again, we'll talk about what we dropped off in the second half of this once we get to the charity auction and we know how much it sold for.
Yep.
But the actual process was pretty straightforward, and we basically said we had multiple items to donate, and they said, okay. So did we want them to be a single lot or multiple lots? So we decided, because there were 4 items, but 3 of them were kind of a group thing. So what we did was we did one of the items separately, and then the other 3 as a single lot.
Yeah, I'm interested to see how much they sell for.
Yeah.
It's just for charity, obviously.
Yeah.
And all of this was stuff we wanted at the cons. So.
Yep. But yeah. So the next thing was, as I said, Clock Tower.
Yep.
So this was basically just set up in the back corner of the games room.
Yeah, this was the same person who ran it for us at Furthermore.
No, it wasn't.
Oh, sorry. Where did they run it for us before?
They've not run it Clock Tower for us before.
Yes, they have. They literally said that they had.
They've run Werewords for us at Origins like 3 years ago.
Oh yeah, that guy who somehow remembers us.
Yeah.
From that. Cool. Go then.
Go then. But yeah, no, we've not. This is the first time playing Clock Tower.
Yes.
As the story.
Sorry, I was getting mixed up with different people, but they're a very good storyteller. I like
They
them a
are.
lot.
So yeah, this ended up being a full 15-person game of Clock Tower.
Yep.
They were turning people away rather than trying to cram more than 15 people in.
Appreciate it.
Good call.
Although I don't know how long that's going to last, because we were playing this was the first game of Clock Tower I think they were running this weekend.
Mm-hmm.
When we left, because they're doing it continuously every 2 hours, there was a line outside of people were playing.
Yep.
There was more than 15 people in that line, so they do have 2 people. So
yeah.
I also like this. They had like a storyteller and a co-storyteller, so they could kind of switch off and help each other, which I do think makes it a little bit easier, because Clock Tower, particularly with 15 people, is a lot to manage.
Yeah. And again, especially for a game with that many new players, because I think half of the people there had never played Clock Tower before, somewhere in that ballpark.
Yeah. This was an extraordinarily good game, though.
So good.
Like, I will say, free cons are 2 for 2 on, like, very good games of Clock Tower.
Yep. And again, it helped that a thing that you and I have wanted to happen forever finally happened.
Yeah.
Which was we were both on the evil team.
Yep.
It's happened once before, but that was the game with 5 people.
Mm-hmm.
This was a game of 15 where you and I got to be evil together.
Yeah.
That's fun.
Yeah, I do feel bad for the one person who was on the evil team with us who no one could get to in time to give them a bluff, so they got out first round.
Yep. Yeah, they got executed by the time round 1, which sucks a little bit for them, but like, yeah, the rest of the game was just really good.
Yeah. It was a blast. I loved being evil with you.
Yeah.
We did find out at the end, but we had both a star pass and you shooting a dead body.
I shot your corpse.
Nice.
Specifically.
You did not tell me that. And I apologize for anyone who listens to these reviews who's never played Clock Tower. It's when it works, it really works. And I do think at free cons, for the most part, it works because everyone's like, the person who was the original demon, because we were both minions, apologized for doing bad when they star passed. I'm like, you gotta be kidding me.
They did it at the best possible moment.
Yeah, they did. And even if it didn't work, which I think it for the most part did, it made the game more interesting, which is always the best thing you can do.
It's the classic case of we were so close to winning. Like, we lost it by 1 vote.
Yep.
That's a damn good game of Clock Tower.
It is. And there was a 50-50 shot of who it was at that point. That's how Clock Tower was supposed to work. It worked great.
We basically had 4 living players.
Yep.
2 of them we knew 100% knew who they were.
Yep.
Because of some very good plays by the good team.
Yep.
And then it was basically between me and one other person.
Yep.
And I'd been claiming the guard, or the soldier, who can't die by demon kill.
Mm-hmm.
So the reason I shot your corpse was to try and bluff it that the demon must have tried to kill me in the night and it hadn't worked.
Yep.
And that's, to pin the blame on the other person.
Yeah. I managed to orchestrate a Raven's Keeper death.
You did.
Okay, I was the spy. The spy gets way too much information because they get to see they get to see everyone's role effectively.
Yep, you get to
they
see
it
the
all
grim.
at once. And it was also the guy, by the way, said, if you're the spy, don't say anything. And again, very great storyteller, but multiple times he was like laughing to me about stuff that was happening in the game when he was showing me the grimoire, and like it was hard to not respond to that.
Again, you should have seen the look he gave me when I pointed at you for the demon kill, and he was like, "Oh, that's good." Because I woke up and I looked at the 2 people whose roles we had confirmed, and I was like, "Should I kill them? Should I kill them?" Wait a goddamn second, and I looked over at you. Pointed at you, and he just went, "Oh," because he knew that would make for the most interesting possible final turn.
Yeah, well, it took me a minute to realize what you had done, obviously, because I couldn't see this, and I saw you were still alive, and I was very confused for a couple seconds, and then you started talking. I'm like, "Oh, that is good." I was so proud of you for doing that, and it nearly worked.
It was so close to working.
I know, this was such a good game.
Yeah.
Yeah, this game was an absolute blast. Kudos to both the storytellers. Kudos to all the players.
Yeah. This is one of those situations where, like, yes, we lost, but it was so close
It was so close, and all the moves were so good on both sides that it was just, it could have gone either way. And I'm honestly really happy that the good team won, because they got the plot, they understood what was going on, and they picked up on subtleties that were happening.
And there were some moves they did that were just playing brilliant.
Yeah, like this was just a fantastic game of Clock Tower.
The guy who played the Virgin did an amazing trick at one point that was perfect.
Yep.
Because we were going to execute
Virgins
somebody.
do know a lot of tricks.
Yeah. Yeah, we were going to execute somebody.
Yeah.
And the Virgin was just like, you're going to die anyway. Nominate me. Because I think you're in the clear and I am the Virgin. And the guy nominated him. That guy died.
Yep.
And all that did was 100% confirm both the Virgin and that guy had been on the good team.
Which is how you should play the Virgin.
Yeah. That's the Virgin's job.
Yep.
Like, excellently played.
Yep.
Very well done.
So yeah, all of this was a great game. So it's just fantastic.
Yeah, like that's in our top ever games of Clock Tower, I think, just in terms of everybody playing the game well, understanding what they were doing, just having an absolute blast with it. So.
And also being very nice to each other and not yelling at each other about how to play roles. Like, the fact that people were apologizing to us when they played the roles fantastically is just like...
Yeah. Because one of the problems with Clock Tower is the people who think they're good at Clock Tower. Yeah. We don't think that.
Yeah.
We just have fun with it.
Yeah, well, it was also like, I felt like the Star Pass move that our demon did was like, even if it might not have been the most effective move, and I actually think it was a very effective move, was a fun move. And I was like, hell yeah, this is fun.
Yeah. So, yeah. So, the heck did we do after that? Oh, yeah. Then it was the lip sync battle.
Yeah.
Or lip sync karaoke.
We're almost home, so we might need to cut it off there.
Yeah, I think we've got time to talk about the lip sync.
Okay.
So we've done a lip sync thing at a FurCon before.
Mm-hmm.
Listen to the Bewhisket episode if you're curious about that. That we kind of hated.
Yeah.
Largely because they made it a competition unnecessarily. This was just lip sync karaoke.
Yep. Which was great. Because this is the thing I love about cons and creativity generally, and I do appreciate it when not everything is a competition. Like, I appreciate the fursuit dance competitions, but it's kind of fun to do something in a fursuit that's just kind of silly and goofy and fun and not have it be a competition.
Yep.
And just have it be for fun.
Yep. Which is what this was.
Yeah.
This was, you put on a piece of music, and again, they were just using YouTube, so basically whatever you wanted. Then you mimed along to it in some capacity. Now, almost everybody taking part was in a full fursuit, so the lip syncing was...
Oh, cool. They turned off the lights in the field.
Oh, neat. So yeah, the lips, there wasn't really much in the way of lip syncing.
Mm-hmm. Except for you. You were great.
Yeah, I was the only person who did it without a full fursuit head on. But like, people were expressive, you could tell what they were doing, they were moving around, making use of the space, like, there was good audience interaction, like, people were having fun with it, and the audience was really getting into some of the music choices. Mm-hmm. And people were, generally speaking, just picking things that were fun and weird and interesting and different, rather than, like, rather than trying to pick something that... It's not that they were picking things they thought the audience wouldn't like, it's that they were picking stuff that they wanted to do.
Yep.
Rather than something they could do well that would, like, win them points. Mm-hmm. Does that make more sense?
Yeah, I loved your song, by the way. I had no idea what it was from, but you just... Sorry. Like, on our first date, we accidentally went to music trivia because I thought it was generic trivia. Mm-hmm. And this was, like, basically the first time we had been together, like, in the same area and, like, had gone out together.
Yeah, like, we'd had a lot of long conversations by this point, but this was the first time we actually, like, went to a thing as a
physically
couple.
In, like, meet space.
Yeah.
To
just be together and do an event together. So it was functionally our first ever date.
Yeah.
In that regard.
We didn't know any of the songs because it was all, like, weird stuff from the 70s.
Mm-hmm.
But the few songs we did know, which I think was a Meat Loaf song and a Queen song, you sang to me across the table.
Yep. And for whatever reason, every time I do that now, it just melts
floods me, yeah. So that happened. It was very nice. Like, you should do that more.
Mm-hmm. In case anybody's curious, the song was Miracle of Sound's Perfect.
Yep.
And Miracle of Sound is an artist I absolutely adore who does songs themed around whatever video game or TV show or whatever that's been inspiring him lately. And this was a song based on the character of Jinx from Arcane. So it's basically a song about somebody who is completely losing their mind while trying to convince themselves that they are not. That they are perfect just the way they are. And I adore that song. Like, if you're not familiar with Miracle of Sound, look him up. His greatest, like, it's not that he's a bad singer, it's not that he's like a bad arranger or anything. He is an amazing, ridiculously talented lyricist, because so many of his lyrics just like are really fantastic. And I think, it's his most underappreciated skill.
Okay. We're probably gonna have to like
Yeah.
finish this part tomorrow.
Yes.
So
yeah, but generally speaking, I loved doing this. This was
more
great.
I want to say about this. This is why I wanted to let it take its time. So
It's
can we
fine.
just pick up with it more tomorrow?
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay.
We've made it home, so thank you very much for listening, and we'll continue
Sorry, we have
this
animals
episode.
who are very annoyed.
Yeah.
So
We'll continue this episode shortly.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye. Okay, and we're back.
We're back.
It's Sunday.
My attention span is totally shot.
Yeah, so's mine. It's fine. Where were we? Lip sync competition?
Lip sync competition.
Yep.
So I like this a lot. I like that they scheduled this event for long enough that everyone could go at least once. I think some people actually went twice, which was awesome. And they had a cute little group dance too.
Yep, where there was a particular one that had like a lot of voices. It was from Has Been Hotel, the second season, I believe. And they basically just called for volunteers from the audience. Like, who wants to be in this? And there was one person who was so excited to do that one. That was great. That was adorable to watch. So, again, really great event. Really liked it. Like, this is basically what I wanted the one at Bewhiskered to be.
Yep.
Like that, the one at Bewhiskered, I came away going, "Oh hell no, I'm not doing this." Yeah. This one, I was immediately just like, "Oh no, this is the thing I want to take part in," and I'm really glad I did.
Yep.
Like, I got to inflict a Miracle of Sound song on you in a way that you actually seem to enjoy.
Yeah.
So yeah. Much more to say about that?
No, that was the main thing. Is I did like the group thing a little bit.
Yep.
And then we did skip out of this one a teensy bit early. Everyone had already gone once because my big thing with karaoke and with lip sync battles is if I'm performing or if you're performing. It's really like I want to be there to like respect and support everyone. I don't like just waiting for my or your turn and then skipping out. So I wanted to make sure everyone had gone once. But we also got the appraisal back on the house, which our realtor warned us was the last like main hurdle. So
So we needed to like go and deal with the psychological aspects of that. We need to tell our landlords.
We do. We'll probably do that next week.
Yep. But yeah, so we tapped out at that point of that panel just because we kind of needed a bit of a mental health break for a minute, and then we kind of wandered around for a little bit.
Yep.
And what did we do next?
Con histories.
Ah, yes.
Actually, we did something else. Let me double check because I thought I remembered us. We wait for that one. No, it was later where we went into the other room before that. I think. Yeah. So yeah, con histories.
Con histories.
Oh yeah, because this was still Friday when we only had the one place.
One panel room.
Yes.
Yeah. And we'll talk about how everything got rejiggered once we get to Saturday.
Yep.
So we've seen this panel once before.
Yes.
This was an improvement on last time because this time he actually had a projector.
Yes.
So this is somebody who has done a crap ton of research.
And I love his work.
On just, like the history of cons. So starting with the first thing that we can really consider a true convention.
Yep.
Right the way through to the modern age and like how they branched off and how they, this thing started as a subset of this thing and then kind of branched out to become its own thing.
Yeah,
like
they have a very cool flowchart thing that they use for the different cons that they, I think, built themselves. And
I'm assuming so.
All of this is like research that's very well done, and it's just we've seen at least some this presentation because we saw it furthermore before. But like this is the things I would actually watch this like 3 or 4 more times because every time I watch it, I learn something new. It's just so dense with information that every time I watch, I adore this panel. I want all the panel slides. I still really want to interview this person for the podcast. Like their work is so good.
Again, my only criticism is this is clearly a 2.5 hour panel that he keeps getting time slots that are not 2.5 hours for. So like he starts rushing towards the end to kind of get through as much of the information as he can. That's my only criticism. And if my criticism is this panel needed to be longer because you've got stuff left to say, that's generally a positive sign. Don't know what your thoughts are on the matter.
Similar, where I do think it like could be obviously a longer time slot. I get that's kind of hard, and I do think because he was doing another presentation that we also went to the next day that was more focused on cosplay. I do think like breaking it up into chunks if they won't give you longer time slots just might be what it has to do. You would have to do to get the information in generally. So just focusing on the early part, the mid part, or the late part. But I really love this. I was able to retain so much more information than I was last time just because I was a little bit less tired this time, and I adored this. I loved every second of it.
Oh yeah.
Plus, Linz was hanging out with us for this one, so that was cool.
Yep. And if memory serves, we lighted in that panel room.
Yeah, for Boozy's Legal Funhouse.
Yep. Which again, we've talked about Legal Funhouse before. It's a podcast. It's a better podcast than our podcast, in which Boozy and Alkali basically discuss an interesting aspect of law through the lens of a specific case. Boozy loves if he's recording the podcast at a convention, he loves finding a case that's in some way relevant to the convention.
Yep. This one was about whether or not squirrels blew up a car in Columbus, Ohio.
Yep.
It's very fun. This was a shorter episode of it, and I am noticing that like there's more time slots that are for this con. They're slotted for like 40-ish minute time slots, which I don't mind.
I don't mind. I think there are pros and cons. Some
Pros and cons.
Yeah, every time. There are some panels that I think it works absolutely fine for. There are some that I do think kind of strain against the time limit a little bit. I think Boozy knew what time limit he was working with and rolled with it really quite well. Because again, the case itself wasn't anywhere near as complex as some of the ones that he's dissected on that podcast, but it worked. It was funny. It was relevant to the fandom. So
yeah, because we had a late night the previous night, we then went home after that.
Yep.
Yeah, we're not rushing through this too much.
No, we're fine. Again, we've talked about Legal Funhouse quite a few times. It's funny.
And it's also its own podcast. If you're listening to this podcast, you want to know more about it, just listen to that
Go listen to it. I don't know how long it'll take to get the episode up.
I don't know either.
But we'll probably beat it. But yeah. So at that point, slept, went home, slept, did all of that jazz. And we wanted to be at the convention the next morning for before 10 o'clock.
Yes.
There's a specific reason we needed to be there before 10. Well, two reasons, actually. One, the first panel we wanted to go to was at 10.
Yep.
And two, they'd finally got the con game with the boop station set up. And one of the achievements was for booping a boop station between the hours of 4 a.m. and 10 a.m.
Yeah. And I do like the con game. I do feel like it was a bit of better run last year because it was actually up on a reasonable time frame. And sometimes, we did legitimately go to places where they said there were boop stations and they weren't there at some time periods and they were just randomly there later. That happened multiple times.
Yeah, this con definitely had some logistical issues. I think at this point we should probably talk about the third and fourth floors.
Yes.
So they did not, as we mentioned earlier, they didn't have the third floor and the fourth floor in the 402 tower on Thursday and Friday. They didn't get access to it until Saturday. Yeah. Which basically meant they only had one panel room Thursday and Friday. Now, Thursday, it doesn't really matter. Thursday's barely a day. It's doing a couple of, it's basically doing MST3K and a dance. You only need one panel room for that. That's fine. Friday, they did not have a lot of programming because they still only had one panel room. Whereas by Saturday, they had expanded up into the third floor, which had a couple of meeting rooms, 3 panel rooms, and a quote-unquote secondary events room.
Yes.
And then they also had a main events ballroom on the 4th floor. Now, I don't think the ballroom was got used for anything up until the dance competition in the afternoon.
I think that's right. And then they were used for the dances in the night, I'm sure, as well.
Yeah.
And there's a ballroom above that ballroom because we did go up another floor. So if they wanted to expand that way, they still could. Yeah,
there is more space to expand up into the 5th floor as well, if they can make that arrangement with the hotel. Yeah. But again, that's whether or not they need that.
This was a more correct amount of space than what they were having before, which was good because there was a lot of people there on Saturday, way more than any of the other days.
Yeah, we did get numbers during closing, and I think we're comfortable talking about that.
Yep.
They passed 3,900.
Yes, they're pretty close to 4,000 right now, and they grew 50% from last year.
Yeah, this was
50%.
53 specifically is what they said. That's insane.
Yeah.
So that was terrifying, but it did mean that there was a lot of queuing problems on Saturday, though, and we'll talk about that kind of as we talk about each panel.
Yep.
But the one major criticism I think I have is I don't think they were using that secondary events ballroom well at all.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was pretty much exclusively used for sponsor tier stuff.
Yep.
And I'm going to be really honest, you didn't have enough sponsor tier people to make it worth using that a lot of the time. Like, one of the things that was on Saturday was the guest of honor dinner. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I looked into that room during that dinner. There was not that many people in there relative to the amount of space that was being used. Meanwhile, across the hall, there was rooms that were physically, like, dangerously overcrowded. Mm-hmm. So I think you might want to rejigger some stuff for next year, but I think it'll be better just because they will have access to the space the entire time rather than just those last those last 2 days.
Yeah. And my major criticism is there does Furry cons continue to be better than most cons about ADA access. Whenever I say I have ADA, AnthrOhio, like all Furry cons, is very, very respectful. Mm-hmm. The major difference is that you are still kind of making people with ADA advocate a little bit too much. There's not separate lines, which at some points in the hallways is just straight up dangerous right now with how people are queuing.
Yep.
And there's not any seating at events for ADA, and stuff like that does help. So there's stuff to consider in the future.
Yep. Again, in all honesty, you guys are pretty in tight with IFC.
Yep.
I would have a conversation with their people.
Yep.
Because they handled it really well the last year.
Mm-hmm.
And, just steal each other's notes.
Yeah.
There is absolutely nothing wrong with taking ideas from other conventions that work, especially if you're looking at, like, ADA access and those kind of considerations.
That said, I do think you probably need at least one dedicated person just on that, and I'm not sure you have the staff right now, which is not on you.
That's not on you. You guys are growing exponentially.
Yep.
Like, your growth rate terrifies the bejesus out of me.
Mm-hmm. I'd volunteer to do it if you wanted me to, but I know that if I even say that on the podcast, somebody's probably going to email me.
Yeah, don't email it. We don't have time.
If you have absolutely no one else, I'm willing to help out in an abstract sense.
Don't put her on staff. I'm not kidding. Don't do it. She will actively feel bad about turning you down, which means she'll do it. And
you just told them the magic words to put me on staff.
I know. Don't do it. So anyway, but yeah, so we do have some criticisms of how the space was used, but again, growing pains, first time having access to the space, etc., etc., etc.
Yeah.
So we'll kind of talk about the issues that we ran into as we ran into them.
Yeah.
So the first panel we went to was the AnthrOhio rules panel.
So we dropped me off early just because we really wanted to get there by 10 to boop the boop stations, because when I thought the game was going to be a little bit more playable for us, I was really wanting to do all of them, and then I realized pretty quickly within the first hour to 2 hour marks it wasn't going to be really playable for what we wanted it to be.
Yep.
Just because boop stations weren't in places till midday that day. We found out later at closing that one of the boop stations was actually in registration, the hidden one, which I sort of get, but registration is not a space I really want to be entering unless I'm registering, because I'm just going to crowd up a space that has too many people in it to begin with, and I don't want to be in the way, so I don't want to be looking for boop stations there.
Yeah, and again, if the boop stations had been set up right from Thursday, that wouldn't have been a problem, because you would have tapped it when we picked up our badges, which I think was probably the intention.
Yeah.
But again, they definitely had a bunch of logistical issues this year, and I don't necessarily even think they were on the con. I think they were just on the limitations of that transition into the new space.
And I do understand the impetus for keeping the boop stations open on Saturday, because there was a time period where they didn't really want people to go into the other building because another convention had it. And furries being furries, if you gave them a task to find boop stations, they'd be up there looking for them, the ones who would get really into it. So I do understand why they waited.
Yeah.
It just might have been nicer to have that communicated and maybe keep boop stations out of areas you probably wouldn't go anymore if you had been at the con since Thursday.
Yeah.
Anyway, so then we booped our boops. They were good boops.
Yep.
And then we went into the AnthrOhio rules.
Yes.
So this was a bit unusual, and Juru, who I will say, because they're one of the con people, has hosted it this last few years. They took it over for somebody else. It's an event that we've pretty much participated every single year we've gone to AnthrOhio, which in fairness has only been 3 years so far, but AnthrOhio, I'm sorry.
Sorry, it's just you've done that twice now.
I know. They both have Anthro in the title. I did learn from the History of Conventions panel that apparently Anthro and Furry was a rivalry in the 90s between family-friendly conventions and less family-friendly conventions, which I did not know.
Nope.
I think now the terms are just kind of
They're
interchangeable.
kind of interchangeable at this point, yeah.
because it's pretty easy to separate. Like, you can just do both. It's
Yep.
fine. So, the Iron Authors always have very specific rule sets. Interesting, this year was on a different day, which I think I was trying to mention. They normally have them on Friday. I don't think because of the lack of panel space they were able to have them on Friday this year.
Yep.
So they had them first thing Saturday, which is the earliest they could possibly handle them, which effectively made this a 24-hour writing competition as opposed to a 48-hour writing competition.
Yep. And again, calling the Iron Author of this con a writing competition is fairly strong because again, it's supposed to be a bad writing competition. Like, the point is, it doesn't matter if it's good, it doesn't matter if it's bad. Like, it just write something fun and interesting and weird.
Yeah, I like these just because they give me an excuse to write, and I just don't write as much fiction if I want to anymore.
Yeah.
They're generally very silly. They pretty much always have a rule about including the con guest of honor in some capacity, and including the charity. And normally they have a phrase. They didn't have a phrase this year that we had worked in.
No, but they did say that you, if possible, you should include a repeating motif, since, again, it was normally music themed this year. So it was like, include effectively a repeatable chorus phrase, and during the judgment panel, you would get bonus points if the audience started chanting it along with you.
So yeah, we'll talk more about our entry. My rule for particularly this competition is I'm not spending more than an hour on it because I don't have time, and it's meant to be bad writing anyway. So, and I always try to do something a little bit different every year. My main goal is to get the biggest laughs. So.
And again, we'll talk about that when we get to Sunday.
Yeah, rules are pretty basic. You stay for the rules, you get the rules, and then you get out.
You can ask any questions you need to ask.
It probably is worth noting that our equilibrium was a little bit off, particularly in the morning of this con, because we had to transfer ungodly amounts of money from the UK to the US.
Yep.
And that was stressful.
Yep. International money transfers are not fun, kids.
Yep. And I know for some people, the amount of money we're transferring is like nothing. It is not for us.
No, this is a considerable amount of money for us.
Yeah.
And it's a pressurizing situation where you're trying to make sure that you've definitely got the bank details of the account it's going into correct and all of that stuff. And it's just like, but we kind of needed to get it. We needed to do it because it'll take several days, and this is money we need to do all the house stuff. So So yeah, fun times.
So yeah, the Iron Author rules were about, a 20-minute panel. It doesn't need that long.
Yeah.
And I think Jero did a good year of actually pacing both the Iron Author rules panel and the readings panel to be about the length they needed to be, because the rules are about 20 minutes, and then to get through the entirety of realistically for the judgment, which we'll talk more about, it takes about 15 to 20 minutes just to get everyone who needs to be in the room for it in the room. Which is fine, because there are multiple judges, all of whom are people who have other stuff to do.
Yeah, everyone's busy.
Yeah.
But yeah, so again, the rules panel was about as simple and straightforward as you could want it to be. No major drama, no issue. Same basic stuff it is each year, and again, that's fine.
So then I think we tried to do a bit more of the boob stations and kind of got frustrated with it pretty quick.
Yeah.
And we tried to get more schedules, but they were out because we accidentally left our schedule book at home.
Yep.
Not on the con. We were just very focused on transferring ungodly money.
Yep.
So I think we just needed a reset at that point. So we just kind of found a corner of the convention center and chilled for a bit.
Yeah. Again, here's the thing. At cons, sometimes the best thing you can do is go in the corner and cry.
Yep.
That's fine and normal. Don't worry about it.
Yep.
Especially if you've got other stuff going on. Yeah. So, and this is the point at which I think we started to realize how many other things were going on in the convention center this weekend, because we knew one of the things going on was a Yu-Gi-Oh tournament.
Yes, which we will review in its own separate special episode of this podcast, since we didn't do a thing last week and we don't want to take away from AnthrOhio. So
yeah, we'll talk about that more in detail when we get there. But
yeah, there was also some sort of religious event for a religion that I do not know, and anything I attempt to label it will just be offensive. So it was a religious event.
There was some kind of religious event. There
multiple graduations. The Scholastic Book Fair, I think we mentioned already. So there was just a lot of people in the convention center.
There was a lot of stuff going on, including they put a bunch of signs up that said no balloons inside the venue, and I'm like, why did they put that? What happened with balloons?
Yep.
But yeah, so we started getting an inkling of quite how busy it was going to be in the convention center this weekend, which we do kind of like in its own way. Especially if it's an event with a bunch of kids who can just look at you and go, Princess.
Yeah, I saw a lot of pictures this weekend.
Yeah, because yesterday you were in the new black number that I got you. Which again, black ball gown. Yep.
Yeah. Very witchy
hair.
vibes, very witchcore. I really like this one. Like, it's so good.
Thank you. So yeah.
I'm still carrying emo Axolotl, who I think is now named Seth Axel. So.
Yep, I'm good with calling him Seth Axel.
Cool.
So yeah. So what was the next thing we did? We did actually have quite a long lull, if memory serves.
Well, like, we took a bit of a break. We walked around a little bit, and we did kind of meander back.
So we hit up I think we hit up the hospitality suite again.
Yeah, we did hit up the hospitality suite again, and then we kind of meandered back to the other building for trying to find the actual name of this.
Yep.
15 Fewer.
Yes.
So this was just after, and this is the second time I think I've seen Sigma host a panel that is after the Frankenfurt building extravaganza.
Maybe they just think Sigma's really good at tidying up.
Yep.
And they're just like, you can have a panel if you don't mind tidying up the room, before that.
Yeah.
Because the Frankenfur suit panel is what it sounds like. You get a bunch of cast-off nonsense and you have to build a fursuit out of it.
Yep.
And I suspect it's a very fun, very interesting, crafty panel if you're into that kind of thing. But it does leave a lot of detritus behind.
Yep.
A lot of fur, a lot of feathers, a lot of God knows what else.
Yep, and it takes forever to clean up.
Yep.
So we went into the room a little bit before this just to volunteer to help people clean because they kind of needed it. They had one tiny vacuum cleaner.
That vacuum cleaner was working.
It was.
They had to empty it like 3 times, but man, that sucker was cleaning. Yeah, it was getting the crud off the carpet pretty well.
So yeah, we helped clean. I stood kind of by the door. People kind of meandered in. I wasn't sure what to tell them, so I just told them we were still cleaning, which wasn't really an invitation to either stay or leave. It was just information.
A statement of fact. Yep.
Yeah. So I think everyone just kind of collectively decided to stay outside the room, which was fine.
Yep. So then we grabbed some chairs and panel got started.
Yep.
This is an interesting little panel.
It was. Apparently Sigma took it over from somebody else.
Yep. The basic principle is you start with a map of the United States of America.
Yep.
And then you start bidding on doing stupid nonsense to it. Yep. So if you pay X amount of money, and this is another one of those panels where all the money goes to the charity, just to clarify, you pay X amount of money and you get to own the state, and if you own it, you can rejigger its borders and you can rename it whatever you want. This is a free process at the beginning, then money starts getting involved. So you immediately pointed out that I don't know which state Ohio is on a map, which is not accurate. I can in fact locate Ohio on a map now. I couldn't a couple of years ago, but I can now. So you were just like, get it to point to a random state, and that's now Ohio. So I think it was it Indiana got renamed?
It was Iowa.
It was Iowa got renamed to New Ohio. And that kind of set the tone for how silly it got. In fact, it got a lot sillier than that. And the ultimate goal is to end up with 15 fewer states at the end.
Yeah, I don't think we quite managed that. I do think
we did. We were down to 30. We were barely at 30 states.
Wait, we're supposed to have 15 or fewer.
No, you're meant to have 15 fewer.
Okay.
I think.
I think you're right.
Yeah. Texas got re-annexed by Mexico.
Yeah, a lot of things were given to Mexico and Canada, and there were also just a random half of the board that were still part of the U.S. but wasn't connected to the other part of the U.S.
Yeah, we moved Alaska to somewhere more interesting. Yeah. We got rid of one random Hawaiian island.
We renamed Michigan to Australia.
Suffice to say, the map we ended. And the entire United States is now called Josh.
Yep. Lynn's came up with that.
Yep. Again, this was a very weird, very silly panel, but it was an absolute ball.
It's always fun to donate to charity in fun ways, and the furries make it that way. Sigma's always an amazing host, so love them. Also, Alkali, if you're listening, Sigma's pronouns are they, them.
Did Alkali keep cocking that up?
A lot. Yeah, I wanted to correct him, but it's Sigma's pronouns, so that's their job.
Yep. But yeah, so again, this was a light, fluffy, very fun little panel.
To be clear, Alkali's not doing that purposefully. It's legitimately just something that he's probably not focused on. Yeah. He has 20 other things to focus on.
Yeah, Alkali was definitely running on fumes by the end of this weekend.
Yeah, he was pushing himself.
Yeah, you were worried I'd given him my cold.
Yeah.
If that's accurate, sorry.
Yeah. So after that was Sigma was staying in the room to do their mental health or emotional and mental health discussion in peer support, which is a very powerful panel. We reviewed it before. If you're in the right headspace for it, it's an amazing thing. I don't think anyone can frankly do better than Sigma does.
Agreed. So. We just weren't in the right headspace for it this weekend. Insofar as we've got a lot of stuff going on, and the problem is most of it is arguably good.
Yep.
Like, buying a house is incredibly stressful, even though it's a good thing.
Yep. In
theory.
We could be making a massive mistake.
This is
there
was
also a panel at that time that was called Finances Beyond the Basics, and I'm just like, there is no way in hell we're going to that. I'm sure it's very nice. We're not going to that.
Yep. So this, if memory serves, was the point at which we kind of went for a bit of a wander and went to meet up with the people at the table, the Yu-Gi-Oh card tournament.
Yeah.
Which was Bridget and James.
Yes, so we'll talk about that in its own bonus episode because I don't want to take away time from AnthrOhio to talk about it because they deserve their own episode.
So we basically did that for a bit. And
quite a while.
Yeah. Yeah, and then we kind of pivoted back to the con at what, like 5-ish?
5-ish, yeah.
What was the panel we went to? It was the
international
panel.
Yeah, so we went back. I think you got more food actually at the
Yep, the con suite.
We chatted with some people for a bit.
Yep.
And that's when we got back to that part of the convention center, and we started to know about the overflow problems they started having. Because apparently the Candy Furs meetup, which was in that panel room beforehand, had too many people.
Yep.
Which is weird, given that Candy Furs I wouldn't imagine is that popular, but I've seen a lot of people in the art style, and it's a very cool art style, and I do like it because it's very colorful.
Yep.
So some people, I think, from that previous panel weren't able to get into it and just sat outside and waited for the international snack panel for 40 minutes.
Yep. So yeah, there was a massive line to get into this one. They ended up having to cap the number of people going in, and there was still a bunch of people waiting in the corridor.
Yep.
So yeah, this is the point at which I started to suspect that we were having issues with room sizes.
Yeah. There's room sizes in the fact that they don't have... Again, I do suspect this is lack of staff. They just don't have enough people to staff the rooms and restore order. Because when you got there, you were told to... I stood off to the side because ADA, there just wasn't a place for me to stand that was going to be safe for me. So I stood off to the side and had to hold my place in line, which is normally what we do when there's not ADA line stuff.
Yep.
But you had to switch where you were standing because somebody came by and rearranged the line like halfway through.
Yeah, basically the panelist had told us that we were fine standing there as part of the queue.
Yep.
And then one of the con staff basically said, actually, no, the line's over here.
Yep.
And by that point, the line was halfway down the goddamn corridor.
Yep.
Now, fortunately, somebody saw what happened there and knew that I'd arrived before them and just let me into the line in front of them. And I did say, thank you. And, I was saving a spot for my wife with ADA. And she was like, no, you're good. Don't worry.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't know that was how that happened. I really appreciate that. Thank you, that person.
But yeah, so we went into the snack food panel. We grabbed a chair, at a table, and this was an interesting panel that
I think they were a little bit overwhelmed by the number of people, which was not their fault.
No,
couldn't predicted this.
But it's interesting. I would have done this panel differently. So I'm going to talk about how they did it, and then I would talk about the variation I would do.
Yeah. And I want to be clear, they were clearly overwhelmed.
Oh God, yes. So basically, the way this panel works is they had a whole bunch of international snack foods.
Yep.
My guess is they probably hit up Jungle Gyms.
Yeah, probably a couple other local markets too, because some of that stuff I didn't even see at Jungle Gyms.
And they would basically open up a bag of ketchup flavored crisps. And then they would go around to a table, to each table, you'd get handed a crisp or two, and they ideally go all the way around the room. A lot of the snacks, they just didn't have enough of each type of snack for every person in the room.
Yeah, and it is worth noting that they probably spent close to $200 on snacks for this panel. And they weren't even eating most of it themselves. And I straight up stole them at some points, like the people who were, because not everyone was allowed in the panel room. At some points, they were just straight up taking snacks from the panel to people outside. Yeah. So that they could at least get some snacks.
Yeah, because they ran out of chairs. There were people sitting on the floor.
Yep.
This was an extremely popular event because furries like free food.
Yep.
That needed to be in a significantly larger room.
Yep.
And I'm going to be honest, if you want this panel, given how popular this panel is, AnthrOhio, give the panelists on this one a budget. It doesn't have to be a massive budget, I expect a couple of $100, but you give them that to go towards the snack budget, and you could probably feed half the con. Um, so yeah, so my only real criticism is they were basically just kind of taking a snack, handing it out, taking a snack, handing it out. Like, I would have liked more discussion about them.
Yep.
Like, I was expecting this to be a bit more of a case of, okay, we've got a PowerPoint presentation, so here is, here's this snack food from Japan. Here's a little bit of information about it on PowerPoint. Let's hand it around so we can talk. And then maybe we'll have a little bit of a conversation in the room about how you found it, something like that. Whereas this was more just, here's a bunch of stuff, let's try it.
Yep.
And again, not a bad way to do the panel by any means, just not how I personally would have done it. But I'm a sucker for information about weird food.
Yeah, that might have been interesting. I do admit, given the amount of people in the room, it was going to take them. This was slotted for 2 hours. They definitely used all of that just trying to desperately feed people as quickly as they could.
Yep.
And they had about
half a dozen volunteers just helping.
And even that was not fast enough with everything.
And I'll say this, they were doing it properly. They had gloves, and they were switching gloves between every snack.
Yep.
And I don't know if you noticed, but they had allergen stickers.
Yep.
So if you had any particular allergies, they would hand you a sticker, so that you could indicate, so that anybody serving would know, this has nuts in it, you can't have that kind of stuff.
Yeah. And they weren't actually doing a very good job of dividing the snacks too. Where obviously because there were so many people, you couldn't get a lot of each snack, but they gave everyone enough that you could try it while still stretching it as far as it possibly could go.
Yep. One of the snacks was iron brew.
Yep.
So you got basically a thimble's worth, which is enough to taste it without while having the effects of drinking iron brew. And if you're not familiar with iron brew, it's the most popular soft drink in Scotland.
Mm-hmm.
Only country in the world Coke is sold where something else is more popular than it, and it's Scotland and iron brew. But anyway, I did find your lack of British snacks disturbing.
They had some. They had coffee crisp.
But yeah.
Bring your own British snacks next panel.
Yeah.
And British, we only stayed for about half of this because I was getting a little bit overpeopled and we just kind of wanted to get to the next room.
Yeah, it was getting a bit. It was a lot.
Yeah.
So at that point we transitioned over to panel room 2 because that was in 3. And panel room 2 I think was the smallest of the panel rooms.
Yes.
This was the same one that Author was in earlier that day. And it was interesting because we'd been using the digital schedule that day. I didn't think there was anything in that room at that time, but there was actually an Otherkin meetup in there, which you said is in the con guide.
It is in the con guide, but it's not on the online schedule.
Yeah, for
I
whatever
don't know what's
reason.
going on that. I did notice when I was looking at the online schedule before we got the con books, in the days leading up to the con, there were some things that were listed if you looked at it through alphabetically or by program type that weren't on the schedule, when you looked at it by time period. So it might just be that some things didn't get properly sorted.
Possibly. But yeah, so there was another kin meetup going in, so we kind of loitered outside until they hit their time, and then I felt like a dick for doing it, but they were 5 minutes over their time, and the room was not set up. So I basically had to use my authoritative British voice and basically go, guys, there's another panel going to be starting soon, and we're going to have to rearrange the room. I'm sorry.
Yeah, well, other people were there and confused because other people saw the online schedule and didn't think there was anything there.
Mm-hmm.
And you and I both try to be very cognizant about not overstepping. We're not con staff. We don't have any authority. We don't want it seem as though we do. We don't. But at the same time, con staff was clearly run off their feet, especially at this point in the day. It wasn't realistic for us to go get somebody, and we needed to move tables.
Yep.
It was set up for a meet and greet, so there were all chairs facing each other and tables, and that just wasn't going to work, especially given that we knew that Boozy and Alkali's panel got moved to this room, and they were going to want to fit as many people in as possible. Tables were going to be in the way.
Yeah.
So
and the panel we were going to at this point was the effectively the con history cosplay panel. So we knew that was going to be lecture style. So basically, I wrangled a couple of people. We moved the tables and got the chairs set up in that style.
Yep.
Fortunately, this was around the time the panelists turned up, so I basically told him what we were doing, and he was like, "Yep, cool, go for it." I was like, "Sweet, somebody who has the authority to actually tell me to do that in this regard." So we rejiggered the room, we made that work.
Yep.
And then we did the con history panel.
Yes.
And again, it's interesting. He definitely went over at least some of the same information that was in the con history generalist panel.
Yeah. Which, to be fair, like I think only like us and 2 other people had actually gone to the other one.
Mhm.
There were a lot of people who didn't, but he focused a lot more on different aspects now. Like he
Yes.
chose to abbreviate different sections.
Yeah.
That was really cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
And this is where I learned that Anthro apparently meant family friendly, and Furry meant like non-family friendly in the 90s. Which is a cool fact I did not know.
Yep.
This was a lot about cosplay though, which I really liked. And I particularly love how he was like giving a lot of credit, particularly in this panel, to women, because cosplay is largely a woman's art.
Yep.
It has been basically since its inception.
Yeah, so the first cosplayer was a man.
Yep.
But the person who actually made his cosplay was a woman, and she is considered the second cosplayer and first cosplay maker.
Yep. And I think the first person who really made, and I'm sorry, we didn't get the names or write them down, but the first person who really made cosplay like a thing that was done by primarily women and really like set the stage for women's costumes was a woman of color, which is awesome.
Yep.
Like, this was really cool. I really love this, and I love the respect and reverence that this person shows this. Yeah. Like, in addition to being a historian, he's very reverent about it, and like is very respectful of everyone who's involved in this process.
Absolutely.
At the same time, it's kind of like not making fun of cosplayers, but making fun of like con drama and how similar it has been at all points in con history.
I'm not gonna lie, some of the drama that was related to those early world cons really put me in mind of that nonsense that was going on with Ohio a few years back. Like, it's like, people haven't really changed.
Nope, it's all just the same.
Yep.
And like he brought up the poodling drama from AnthrOhio last year also. And yeah, it's just interesting to see all these little niche fandom things, but there's just so much art and creativity there, and like I really hope that we're still at a point in history for cons. Like people look back on what cons are now.
Yep. So, yeah.
And it was interesting because he did explain a little bit about something I was curious about also, which is the pivot from cosplay contests to fursuit parades. Because furry cons typically don't have cosplay contests. They just don't. Or fursuit competitions about building them or anything, which is interesting. It's interesting they pivoted away from that and chose to do something different. And I actually kind of like the way they pivoted.
Well, again, supposedly originally, the masquerade was a thing you were doing on Saturday evening. Furcons started moving their masquerade to the afternoon, which meant none of the vendors could see the fursuits, and so they decided to start marching, through the vendors' hall, so that the vendors could see them after the masquerade, and that was kind of the proto fursuit march, and it's still usually midday-ish Saturday.
Yeah, and then they basically turned the masquerade or the performance aspect of cosplay into the fursuit dance competition, because I imagine most of what they were probably getting for that were dances anyway, so they just made it a dance competition, which makes sense.
Again, there's logic and there's evolution. It's always fascinating to look at history.
Yeah.
I am somebody who, if the UK educational system allowed it, I would have done a dual degree in history and mathematics.
I really do love that fursuit or furry cons generally are pivoting more away from those competition models. You still have them for the dance competitions, and you still have them in a more minor sense, but I think they realized that judging people's fursuits just based on their creativity was just a futile task. And I think it's ultimately helped the furry community have really cool looking fursuits, because no one feels the need to make them competition grade anymore. They can just do whatever the heck they want.
Yep. So at that point we stayed in the room.
Yep.
For monkey knife fights.
Yes. We were confused initially why they put it in a room this small. It turns out they forgot to put it on the schedule. Yeah, there was some miscommunication, I think, between Boozy and Alkali and what was supposed to be on the schedule, at least based on what Alkali told us.
Yep.
So they wanted to add this back in. They didn't have a spot for it, so they put it in this room. This room was way too small for it.
Yep.
Everyone knew that going in. We and a couple of other people just stayed in the room for this. Other people came in over 20 minutes early. And as a result of this, because Boozy and Alkali also arrived 20 minutes early, and the room was full 20 minutes early, they just started 20 minutes early.
Yep.
So, yeah.
And I think there was a long-ass line outside to try and get in that just was not happening.
Well, they apparently thought it was the con history panel still going outside, and based on the stories they were telling at that point, I'm like, what do you think is going on with the con history panel? In fairness, it was marked +18, so maybe they thought cons were very rockerous as opposed to Boozy and Alkali's lives being very rockerous.
Yeah. They've both seen some stuff.
It is worth also noting that the con history panel was not supposed to be labeled as +18, as the person commented on.
Yeah.
So there wasn't anything not safe for work in it, other
Nope.
than somebody covering themselves in peanut butter to cosplay as a character who was called the Turd.
Yep. And then supposedly getting a bill for the hotel for knackering up their plumbing.
There are pictures of this. Like,
this is a real thing somebody did.
Yes.
Whether or not the hotel sued him for plumbing damage, that's more hazy.
But I feel like a lot of like convention or con rules stem back to this guy.
Yep.
Like I feel like this guy caused a lot of the rules that still currently exist.
Yeah, there are a lot of rules regarding what you can and can't do with the costume. One of which basically says, no parts of it should be left on the stage after you've after you're done.
And no parts of it should be edible. I love that specific rule is a thing.
Yep. Well, again, he covered himself in chunky peanut butter, which then went rancid in the hot lights. Yep. Jesus Christ.
Yep.
So monkey knife fights.
Yep.
There's not too much to say about monkey knife fights because it's a comedy panel.
Yeah, and as we've always talked about with comedy panels, like if we retell the comedian stories, then it's going to be more unfunny than when they tell them. Yep. So just go see them.
The best thing I can say is I was killing myself laughing at a bunch of points. It's the classic case of two comedians who know each other so ridiculously well. They know exactly how to play off each other, and just know how to play to a room. And they were actively like chanting the name of the program director for this con. And one of the people came in and was like, "Okay, I'm not him. Do you need me to get him?" And they're like, "Yes." And then they made the room applaud him for getting it onto the schedule at all, even though we kind of knew it was a bad room for it.
Yeah. And this is the thing that I like, and I realized this a little bit later at the Iron Off their judgment as well. Like, these cons know when they're making mistakes, and they don't mind you making fun of them as long as it's done with love.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they know that there were limitations this year, and that's okay.
Yeah. And again, like, none of the criticisms we've really had are insurmountable things. Mm-hmm. They are absolutely stuff that I think they can and probably will fix next year.
And they were trying to fix stuff from last year this year, and I can see that.
Yeah. But again, they also had a 53% spike in attendance, which, Jesus, that's not the kind of thing you can realistically plan for.
Like, I think the only reason they had lower numbers last year, and they were still higher than they were the year before, but I think the reason that they were, like, lower in terms of percentage increase was just because they moved the weekend.
Mm-hmm.
And this is, like, a weekend that works better. I can understand that. Like, Memorial Weekend would, particularly for furry cons, be very, very popular because you get that Monday off afterwards, and loads of furries love to stay and just kind of hang afterwards. Yep. So, like, if you want, you can make it a 5-day con. That sounds horrifying.
We're doing a 5-day con in less than a
month.
I
know. That's in less than 2 days, honey.
Oh, God, yeah. Technically, Colossal is 5 days.
Oh, yeah, it is, baby.
Oh, Jesus.
We're going up on Wednesday. That is literally 2 days from now.
Yep.
It'll be fun.
It will. It will. I am looking forward to it. I'm also exhausted, but it's fine. So yeah. So what was the? Oh yeah. So that was Monkey Knife Fights, which again, great. Great as always. Just in too small a room.
Yep.
But that's the thing. The con itself was clearly cognizant of. So we had been planning to stay after that for, what was it, Not Safe for Work trivia?
Yeah. But they wanted to clear the room to check IDs, which they probably should have checked with the previous panel, but I get that there was some miscommunication there, and there's not anyone who was obviously under 18.
I'm unsure to what extent they were doing that to check IDs, and to what extent they were doing it because they had a crap ton of people waiting in the corridor.
That's fair.
And they wanted to try and be fair.
Yeah.
So those people wouldn't just be waiting outside for no reason.
They said they were going to check IDs, but also that. And it is one of those things for which, we had thought about staying for that, and had we asked for ADA access, I feel like they probably would have given it to us, but we were tired.
Yeah. And we're like, okay, this...
It's just not worth kind of asking. Like, if we ask for ADA access and stuff like that, they probably will give it to us, but, like, it's just not worth asking. And we were being a little cheeky for staying in both panels back-to-back anyway.
Yeah.
It's probably somebody else's turn, so... Yeah.
So at that point, we called it for the day.
Yep. Headed home.
Had a little wander around the space, just to see if there was anybody to, chat to briefly before we headed out. Didn't really see anybody. Well, okay. We saw a lot of goddamn people.
Yep.
We just didn't have any good opportunities for a stop and chat.
Yeah.
Is probably the best way to describe it, because it was heaving.
Yep. So we decided to head out. It was still relatively early. I think it was like, we still got home at like 10, so, which for us is late.
Yep.
And plus I wanted to write a little bit in the morning anyway.
Yep.
Because I had this stupid idea for a recipe for disaster thing that I've had since Furthermore.
Mm-hmm.
As like a thing I wanted to do for this con this year, so.
Yep.
And it was actually helpful that trees fell on our house, because then I could like work that in, because that hadn't happened yet, so.
I didn't know.
No, Buckeye was after Furthermore.
Okay.
I think it was. I don't remember.
I lose track. But yeah. So went home, slept, did all of the home life stuff. Got up the next morning.
I wrote a script. Gave myself an hour time limit, which is good because we had to turn it in by 10.
Yep.
So
I ran to the store to get you some Twinkies.
I made a fun thing where we should bribe people with Twinkies.
Yep.
There's no real reason for it. It's probably not in keeping with our effort to save money, but I think Twinkies were like $5, so.
It was $6 for 2 boxes.
Okay. And you're eating half of 1 box, so that's fine. People did eat them, though. I was happy about that.
Oh, yeah. But yeah, so, my brain has gone blank again.
I feel like I have to carry us this late in the episodes.
Yeah, it frequently happens. So anyway, the first thing we actually came for was Citrine's concert.
Yep.
Citrine Husky, if you're not familiar, is a blind entertainer and performer. Who
made a joke about them earlier in the episode.
Yep. Citrine's good people.
Yeah.
And they're also very cognizant of the fact that they are blind and will make jokes about it.
Yeah. They're a comedy music performer. There's quite a few of those in the furry fandom.
Yep.
I will admit I just love their stuff. I love their voice. I love their singing and vocal ability. I can tell how well trained they are. I lost one of my fidgets who ran out of the room, and they were saying that like beforehand they had a backup piano because they broke a guitar string the night before. No, it wasn't the G string. Thanks for asking. But yeah. They were just kind of doing an improvisational performance generally, because I think they were also a bit confused about their time slot, but it worked. Like, it was fun. I love their original compositions. I love their vocalizations. I love their cover songs. Like, I really like them as a performer. Like, I kind of tear up every time they play.
Yep. And Citrine's good people.
Yeah. We improv'd with them on a stage at IFC last year.
Yeah. Citrine was in a fursuit. Sigma was in a fursuit. You were in a ball gown.
With a train.
With a train. The stage wasn't that large, and somehow nobody died.
Yeah. The improv was also okay, but most of the not dying part was the impressive part.
The improv was actually pretty funny, but the not dying, that was the tricky part. Yeah, I could technically try to overtake this truck, but I'm not going to.
That's fair.
Because it's raining and the weather sucks.
We've got to finish with Sunday anyway. We've got 16 minutes. So.
Yep, let's roll.
Okay.
So we didn't catch the end of this performance because we had to pivot over to the AnthrOhio Judgment panel, which we knew from the start that was our plan, so we deliberately sat further back in the room for Citrine's concert so we wouldn't disturb anybody on our way out.
Yeah.
So, the AnthrOhio Judgment panel was in the same room again.
Yep.
This time the room was actually appropriately sized for the number of people in it.
Yep.
And, the con staff had printed off copies of everybody's entries.
Except one person hand wrote their entry and somebody ran over to photocopy it. This was a person who I think was under 18. Maybe they didn't have as much access to a computer as other people would have. But that was honestly very cool. So.
It was. They'd even done some doodles and things. So the way this basically works is you read out what you have written.
Yep.
If you don't want to read it yourself, you can have somebody else read it, like one of the judging panel. So only one person opted to not read theirs out, and the guest of honor Manic, who was one of the judges, read it for them.
Yeah. Manic's super cool, by the way.
Yeah, Manic's a good person.
Yeah. Everyone in the furry community is awesome. So they had Manic there. I think Cosmic and Rhubarb, two of the other guest of honors, were trying to support Citrine at his panel, and he probably needed some help. So they did that instead. Absolutely valid. Yep. The charity representative from WAGS was there.
Yep.
Which was the charity they were supporting, and Giroux was there as a judge. So, which worked out well.
Yeah. So basically everybody read out their compositions. You and I had a prearranged thing, because you wrote this one, again, as a recipe.
Yep.
So you basically wrote the initial stuff and the ingredients, and then when we got to the steps, step one was, what was it? What's the exact word? It was like hand over the microphone to your British, Your tall British person so they can finish reading this recipe for you.
By the way, I had to put all the recipe ingredients in order because that's how they do normal recipes, which actually took some time.
Yep.
Like, they all are listed in order of how they appear in the directions.
Okay.
That was important to me.
Mm-hmm.
No one else noticed that, but I felt the need to mention it now so somebody knows this. Yeah.
Yeah, you had fun with the formatting on this one.
And I was very happy when Manic was like, I like it when people make fun of me. I'm like, oh, well, good.
Good, because there's several jokes in here that make fun of you.
Yes.
Because again, making fun of the guest of honor is part of the process of hired author.
Yep. And Manic is the chair of WPAFWA right now, which is a con we reviewed on this podcast earlier. And I'm like, oh yeah, I have things I can say about that and make fun of. I can make fun of your bus system and how horrible your acronym is.
Yep.
Which Manic was very much agreeing on both of those points.
Yep. It's like, yeah, the acronym kind of sucks, but
it's just, the bus system is that chaotic.
Well, again, part of the thing was to work in the name of bands from Ohio.
Yep.
And 21 Pilots originated in Ohio.
Yep.
So we had a gag about hiring 21 pilots to fly you back and forth because it's less chaotic than the bus system.
I just love that 9 Inch Nails and 21 Pilots had numbers in their title, which made them make sense as recipe ingredients, which was fun. I also had WAGs and then 4 kids there.
Yeah.
So, and I made a 4 kids joke.
Yeah. You also made a Wags to Riches gag.
Yeah.
Like, come on. Like, that one made the charity person grow.
Yeah.
It was great.
Yeah, this is just basically, it wasn't really a story. It was just mostly puns and stupid stuff, but
got a good reaction out of the audience.
It was creative nonfiction, which is honestly the easiest thing for me to write because I don't have to come up with a storyline. I can just do dumb jokes. So our lives are chaotic enough that there's enough material that I can just write that down.
Just do dumb jokes.
Yeah. So yeah, it went well. We gave the audience Twinkies. We got the biggest laughs, which was great. And for us, this really is just an event where for us, it's an excuse to perform. So.
Yeah. Which we like doing.
Yeah. Yeah, the other entries were great. I will say, much like last year, I was really happy with the entry that won winning a lot. That was a very memorable entry. It was done very well.
Yep.
Like the subtleties of some of the references, and it was very cute. So, and we got second place, which is cool.
Yep.
Also, we posted a photo of because the recipe required a photo.
Yep.
We just took the picture of the tree that fell on our house.
Yep.
Just put it on there.
Like, recipe for disaster. Feels appropriate. So yeah, again, we like this competition because it gets us to actually write things.
Yep.
And yes, granted, I did not have the headspace to even attempt to write something for this, which I
wrote something. So
yeah, you did.
So that was cool.
And again, generally speaking, here's the thing: you and I met doing something where you were mostly a writer and I was mostly a performer.
Yep.
And we kind of dabbled in in the other halves occasionally. So the fact that we still have that vibe. I still kind of adore.
Yeah.
It makes me remember how we met and why I fell in love with you in the first place.
Yeah. So yeah, I was very happy with this. I love this event every year. I hope it continues. It's had about consistently the same number of entries every year. I think there were a couple fewer this year just because
it's a shorter deadline.
Well, some of the people were in the room. One thing I will say is this year we actually had a lot of people in the room who were not actively participating but just wanted to listen.
Yep.
Which is awesome.
Which is cool. Yeah.
And a lot of them, I think, participated other years, but just decided to listen this year just because they felt they didn't have enough time with the 24-hour deadline. And Drew did say that they were going to move back to
Friday next year once they've got the space available. Which I think is the right call. I think 48 hours is a little better given how much stuff is generally on at this con. So yeah, but again, this is not a criticism. This is we understand you were dealing with the limitations of space and having exactly one panel room on Friday. So yeah, so what do we do after that?
We didn't do a lot after that because that kind of left us with an awkward amount of time before the charity auction. So I think we walked around for a little bit and realized how ridiculously bonkers the convention center was getting. Yeah,
there were at least 2 different high schools graduating and were apparently using the Greater Columbus Convention Center for their graduation. So that was a mess.
But there were a lot of kids around, and I was in a unicorn princess dress today.
Yeah, that kind of did it.
Yep. I took a lot of pictures with children.
Yep.
So then we went back to the games room briefly. We mostly just wanted to say thank you to the person who was running Blood on the Clock Tower because that was a very good game of Blood on the Clock Tower.
It really was. And they complimented us on it as well.
Yes. They did comment that we should have done one move, and I do agree, but hindsight's 20/20. And the point of the game is to have fun, not always do the most optimal strategy.
Yeah.
So.
And yeah, they did ask us if we wanted to participate in the
They
3
really
o'clock
wanted
game.
us to, and I kind of wanted to as well, but we just couldn't do it with the charity auction. So
Yeah, charity auction was at 4, and we wanted to see how the items we donated did.
Yeah.
So, yeah, well, charity auction was supposed to be at 4.
Yeah.
So we went up there a little bit early at about 22.
Yep.
Because we knew there was a dance competition thing going on in
Yeah.
there.
And I will say, you call this Cardinal Clash. I thought that was a video game tournament. The name's kind of confusing. I might just call it a dance battle competition because that makes it a little bit more clear what it is if you're just looking at the title.
Yeah, either that or it could have actually dealt with the description in
Yeah.
the program guide. For whatever reason, it didn't have one.
So either of that would have made it a little bit more clear what it was for people who are newer.
Yep.
But there were a lot of people milling about for the charity auction. So that ran over a little bit. They started lining people up. They were very clearly trying to get people in the room quickly because they had 80 items.
75 items, give
There
or
were
take.
more than 75. There was definitely somewhere between 75 and 80.
Yeah.
Some of them they had to combine last minute. We'll talk more about that.
Yeah, they had a lot of stuff.
Yeah. So they lined people up outside. I kind of chilled because they didn't have ADA access again, but I came back. You had a nice conversation with the person who was in the line behind you.
Yep. Yeah, the person who was in the line behind me was really interested in the plush we donated.
Yep.
They really wanted it.
Yep. Apparently they didn't spend money at the con so they could try to buy it. So
Yep.
you said they were interested in like one particular plush.
Yeah. Yeah, one of them was apparently their spirit animal
Uh-huh.
or something, or some particular thing. But they were very. I told them that when we donated it, we said that the con could either sell it as individual lots or as one collected thing. We did not have a strong opinion, whichever was going to be the best for the con.
Yeah, and I think they chose to keep it all together in part because they had so many lots.
Yep.
It was just faster.
It was faster, and they needed to keep it moving.
Yeah.
But the guy, the person I was talking to, basically said there was one they really wanted, but they would be happy to get all 3.
Mm-hmm.
If they were sold as a lump sum item.
I'm kind of glad they did it that way because they're together now as friends with somebody who likes them a lot. So
yeah.
So I came by around the time that they were opening up. We got in there. We got good seats. There was a fan blowing at us. I think because the dance competition was there previously, so it was kind of cold. But that's par for course of the Furry Con.
Yeah. Yeah, middle of the front row, basically.
Yeah, it was a very nice spot.
Yep.
Liked it a lot.
Oh, yeah, middle section, you were on the aisle.
Yeah. And we were sitting in a person who was next to us at Monkey Knife Fights who was recording Monkey Knife Fights and was recording that too. So I do appreciate Furry's recording stuff because not everyone can always be there and some like to watch at home. So.
Yep. So charity auction. We are 7 minutes from home. We need to talk with some alacrity. So charity auction run like pretty much every other charity auction we've been to. Standard rules. You stick up your hand, you shout whatever number you're willing to pay. Whoever wins gets it.
Yep.
Normally, Alkali and Boozy split the auctioneering responsibilities. Boozy, I suspected, had to go back home.
Yeah, I know that he's in the middle of a legal case right now. It's like I'm not stalking him. This is stuff he posts on his Twitch channel.
Yeah.
And this is stuff he's posted everywhere. He got a new puppy, so.
Yep.
I think between those two things, he probably wanted to get home.
Yes.
If you get a new puppy, you're gonna want to spend time with the puppy.
Yeah. But yeah, so Alkali was doing this with a little bit of assistance from Sigma, but primarily Alkali was taking point on this.
Yeah. They were both kind of tired at this point.
Yeah, Alkali's voice was going.
Yeah, and that's not a criticism of them. I'm sure they were just pushing themselves a little bit, and they were rushing with this auction because they had way too many items for a 2-hour time slot.
Yeah, people had been generous.
Yeah.
In terms of the amount they donated.
Yeah, and I was glad we donated early because our items were, I think, around like
13, 14, somewhere in that ballpark.
Yeah, like mid-teens out of these items, so they were on the board quickly.
Yep.
Which was nice because we didn't have to be nervous about them. We couldn't donate to the charity with the house stuff, so this was our way of donating to the charity. We definitely donated more money to the charity, which I think was our goal.
Yep. Yes, the charity got more money as a result of the items that we donated that got auctioned than our usual cash donating to the charity con budget.
Yeah.
So I'm very happy with that.
Yeah. So the Magic the Gathering set I think sold for around $80, which is a good deal because I think they go for upwards of $100. So
yeah, Commander, a full-on Commander starting set. Yeah, those are pricey. And this one was squirrel themed.
Yeah.
So we figured the furries would like it.
Yeah.
And then the 3 ancient Egyptian furry plush, which we did make sure to mention on the description that they're no longer made and no longer available, which I think probably did help. Went for $250.
Yep.
For 3 plush.
Yep.
We were happy with that.
We were very happy with that. And yeah, that was bought by the person who was in line behind you, you said, right?
Yep.
They saved all their money to buy them, and I'm glad that they got them.
Yeah.
Like, they were very happy.
They were. They basically immediately vanished after that, so I think they basically got them and left.
Yeah, which is fine.
Which is valid.
Like, they wanted them that bad that they were attending an event that they otherwise wouldn't attend to buy them. That is awesome.
Yeah. And the charity got 250 extra bucks.
Yeah.
Great.
From somebody who wouldn't have attended the auction otherwise.
Yep. Now, that ended up being a wee bit of a drop in the bucket in comparison to the whole kit and caboodle, because again, like 70-something items, each of which was going for minimum 40 bucks, give or take.
Yeah.
And some items were going for a lot more than that. I think the final number was just shy of 10 grand raised by the charity auction alone. Now, at least in part, that's because one of the things they were selling was for the fursuit parade, they were giving each person who was taking part in it an ear tag with a number on it. They deliberately saved a bunch of the more humorous numbers.
Yep.
So 621, if you know, you know. 69, 67, 420.
Yep.
And the last one they auctioned off was 666. Yep. And the charity director almost immediately offered $666 for it.
Yeah, and then somebody outbid them. And they were very much showboating this in a very, very funny way.
Yeah, they were giving each other the stare down.
Yeah.
Somebody bid $1,000.
Yep.
And then the con's charity director said $3,000.
Yes.
I want to know what she does for a living.
Yeah, you could play chicken with them to see if they would raise it up more, but like that's a dangerous chicken game to play.
Yeah, most people don't have like that much money on hand for that dumb a reason.
Yeah, this was very fun. I do think they probably could have used a couple more auctioneers just to give Alkali and Sigma a bit more of a break. Everyone seemed a bit ragged with the amount of stuff that they had.
Yeah.
Again, I think this is just one of those things they do, I think, need a few more volunteers than they currently have.
Yeah.
That said, the auction honestly is something either of us would help out with if they needed an extra pair of hands. Like, both of us, I think, would be happy with doing that.
Yep. Yeah, like, in terms of the actual skill required to do it, it's well within our wheelhouse.
And we're going to be there anyway, and, like, we typically don't bid on stuff, because especially now, really kind of can't afford to, so...
Yep. Oh, bunny rabbit.
If you want somebody helping auctioning off stuff, and if you want, especially, like, a sexy British voice doing it.
Yep.
When he doesn't have a massive cold.
Yep, I can make your items sound good.
Yeah. So, yeah, if that's something you want to do in the future, we're happy to help.
Yep.
So.
For the record, any FurCon that's listening, that goes for all of you.
Yep. If we're going to be at your con, he will help.
Yep.
And I will help by showing stuff off in a princess dress. So.
Yep. But yeah. So again, that was the charity auction. They raised a crap ton of money.
Yep.
And then it was followed up by closing, which ended up starting about 20 minutes late just because, well, the charity auction overran because they had so much goddamn stuff to give away. But yeah, so closing ceremonies, pretty short and sweet, about 20 minutes. So it actually pretty much went to its official time just because it started late.
Yeah.
But so they announced next year's theme.
Yeah.
They announced the numbers.
They announced who won the competition. The con chair knows us officially now. He recognized our names, like our actual legal names, because we just used those.
Yep.
That was cool.
Yay.
Was that you guys? Yeah. Hi.
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 Yep.
We're not standing up. Do not make us stand up.
Yep. But yeah. So that was fun.
Yep.
And yeah, they made the charity cry.
Yep.
Because
they always make the charity cry.
Yeah, so the final total was somewhere around 12 grand, and the board of directors was like, yeah, we decided that wasn't enough, so we're lumping another 6 in.
Yep.
Don't know where that came from. My guess is the extra ticket sales.
Yep.
So yeah, so they gave the charity is getting somewhere in the region of 18 grand as a result of this event.
Nice. And they did announce that it was going to be the week, I think, before Memorial Day next year.
Yep, but they have an arrangement with the hotel that after that, they can have the Memorial Day weekend going forward.
And I do think the space will work for them, provided they don't continue to grow by 50% every year. Because if they do, you're going to be outgrowing it by 2027, unfortunately.
Yes, but this is a good space for them for the most part. Maybe you might want to consider expanding up to that 5th floor as well in 402.
Yeah.
But for the most part, I think it should work.
Yep.
I think it's just, once you've got it the whole time, you can, spread a few events out a little bit more.
Which I think will help because it's just so crowded on Saturday right now.
Yeah. And in particular, I think that ballroom that was secondary events that kept getting used for like sponsors tier stuff, I think that needs to be more open to just everybody. Just because it's a big room that can sink a lot of people.
Yeah, I need you to like circle around the lake a couple times so someone doesn't have an aneurysm.
Yeah. So yeah, that was closing.
Yeah. They also announced next year's theme. Did we mention that?
We mentioned it. We didn't say what it is.
Okay. What is it?
It is Island Getaway.
Cool. Yeah, another tropical theme. That's cute. I feel like them and AnthrOhio actually are switching off a little bit because they did cryptids a couple of years ago. I know AnthrOhio's doing cryptids, and AnthrOhio it just did like
Under the Sea,
which is slightly different, but they're pretty close. So
again, you were commenting that that'll be good for us because we can do the aerial cosplay.
Yeah, I'm not complaining. Like pirate and sea and beach is a cute theme. So.
Yep. Yeah, they did announce their guest of honor for next year, which is a pirate themed maker of some sort.
Cool.
Which sounds cool.
Yeah. So after that, we hung out with Bridget and James and people whose names we don't have permission to say on the podcast who were there for the Yu-Gi-Oh tournament that we'll talk about in a separate episode.
Yep.
Probably we'll record it tomorrow when we're driving to Columbus.
Yep. So yeah. So that was AnthrOhio. Top favorite con moments with 2 minutes left until we get home.
Okay. Watching you lip sync.
Thank you. I'm going to go with MST3K because, quite frankly, so The Apple is an incredible movie that everybody should watch. I'm going to go this way for a bit just to kill some time. Yeah, so The Apple is just kind of an incredible movie, and if you can look it up, I strongly recommend watching it just from a sheer what the hell did I just watch standpoint. Go in as blind as you possibly can and just watch it maybe with some alcoholic beverages and some friends.
Yep.
Is my recommendation.
Cool. Yes. That person saying it was an inspiration for them wearing a ball gown.
Yeah, I know which person you're talking about.
Yep.
That was really sweet. Hanging out with Alkaline Various other people on Thursday night. Like, there's a reason we were there until 1 a.m.
Yeah.
Like, it was just nice to, have the chance for a stop and chat and just do all of that stuff.
Yep.
In a way that we don't normally get to because, quite frankly, the dude's normally getting swarmed by people. We learned some interesting stuff.
Yeah.
Which we're not going to talk about.
You're supposed to be doing this quickly.
We're good.
Iron Author, it was great. Always is. I love it.
And finally, I think I have to go for the moment of the charity auction where, I heard the words 3,000 drift across, and I just went, holy hell.
Yep. That's not the word you use.
No, it is
not.
The
only word we can use on this podcast.
Holy moly. So, yeah.
All right.
Furries always blow me away.
Yep. Like, this is the thing about furries, is every time I think they can't surprise me, they do again. Every time.
Yep. Okay. So, after driving around the university a little bit, just to add 5 more minutes to this episode, where the heck are we going next week?
We're going to ColossalCon in literally 2 days, babe.
Yeah. That's going to be fun.
Like, you need a parkour dog sitter to make sure that they can dog sit.
Yes. Yes, I do.
So we need to do the subjective ranking system.
Yes.
Okay.
So, as per usual, the question we always ask for our ranking system is one simple question. Would we go back?
Would we go back? Which is highly subjective because it's always relevant to us.
Yep.
Also, one thing that's nice about our subjective ranking system is that's another thing that's not going to change with us buying this new house.
Yep.
The place where the house is will not impact the decision at all.
No. Because, again, we're adding an estimated 2 seconds to our average, everywhere we drive.
Yep.
Because it's very slightly further down the street.
The driveway is actually further up, so we might actually be saving a second.
Yeah. Well, yeah, but then we've got to, come out of the garage.
I don't know. Anyway, these are not things that are going to factor into whether or not. Like, if we were moving to Akron or somewhere, which we didn't think about doing, then it would factor in. Yeah. But it's not going to. So
it's not going to, which is great. So, yeah.
Again, this is a subjective ranking system. It's relative to where we live and where the con is. The closer the con is to us, the more likely we're going to go, obviously.
Yeah, but this is a hard yes again.
Yeah. Although you didn't even ask me.
Sometimes I don't have to. This is just a really good con.
It is. It was our gateway furry con. It's our gateway furry con for a reason.
Yep. Like, we had so much fun at it 2 years ago, despite the overcrowding,
Yep.
that we kept going to more fur cons.
Yes.
And that's still true. Like, despite some overcrowding issues,
Yep.
Despite some issues with, like panel rooms and that kind of stuff, we still had a really good time.
Yes.
Despite all of our nonsense that's going on in our personal lives, which, led to us needing to take a little mental health break halfway through on Saturday.
Yep.
Like, we still had a really good time.
Yep.
And we love these people.
Yeah, I love them too. I will say one thing just as a small word of advice / I don't want to really say warning because it's not that much of a warning, but it's just like with your guys' growth rate, you do need to be careful. Like, this con can get untenable if there's not more crowd control stuff in place, like at higher quality times. Like AnthrOhio faced that a couple years ago, and they improved as a result of it.
Yeah.
You guys obviously aren't the same size as AnthrOhio, but you are a size that's growing into your space at a rapid rate.
Yeah.
It's stuff you need to be kind of prepared for going forward. I don't think that's hopefully going to stop us from going, knock on wood, anytime soon. You guys are great, but if you get to be the size of AnthrOhio, you've got to prepare for that growth.
Yeah.
So
yeah, that was AnthrOhio
it was
2026.
Thank
We had
you
a lot
for,
of fun.
Again, having fun. The furry community is always amazing. I love seeing you guys.
Yep.
You make everyone there feel like a poppy fur, or whatever you call it.
Yep. So yeah, we are home safe and sound.
Yep.
So at this point, we are going to sign off and say thank you very much for listening.
And immediately be tackled by a dog and 2 rabbits. So.
Yep. So thank you very much for listening, and we'll hopefully see you next week for Colossal Con.
Bye.
Bye.